Lin Shin was happy to celebrate his 1-month anniversary with his beautiful girlfriend. He expresses his love to his Jeff Louis Cheng and asks her where she wants to go for the celebration. The girl then proposed to break up with him. This was how Lin Shin's 1-month relationship was over. He tried to request her to not leave him, but all went to vain. Suddenly, a luxurious car approached at such a high speed that Lin Shin almost got crushed. The driver, a rich and young guy, stopped his car near Liu Cheng. He took his sunglasses off, apologized for being late, and wished her a happy birthday. Liu Cheng hugged him affectionately and asked why he was late. She also mentioned how she was bored by Lin Shin and was angry too. The rich dude proposed to take her to IFC, a fancy restaurant, and to buy her a present. The girl was hugging him tightly, and he was touching her hair by saying that picking up girls needs money, and asked Lin Shin to look at himself and think if he deserved that beautiful girl. The rich dude took that hot chick with him, while Lin was standing beside with some flowers. Some other boys were looking at him from behind and started gossiping. One boy asked the other if the boy in front of them was Lin Shin, the famous licking dog. He mentioned how Lin Shin had worked overtime at his part-time job to chase that beautiful girl and to buy her gifts. The other boy was laughing as a second-generation rich kid had stolen Lin Shin's girlfriend in front of his eyes. He said that all the efforts of Shin were not fruitful because the other guy was rich after all. Lin Shin heard all those conversations and went on his knees. He didn't understand why he was facing those hard times. If it was just because he was poor and a licking dog, could his heart be trampled like that? Lin Shin was angry and wondered why he was being a dog licker for all those years. He screamed that he would never love anyone again. When he screamed, something unusual happened. A flash of light appeared and announced that system binding is completed. A card was generated where Lin Shin's name was mentioned. He got trillion yuan coins as a counterattack with personal wealth of 138 yuans. The strength, dexterity, physique, and intelligence was of level 1. Lin Shin didn't understand what was meant by counterattack gold in trillions or systems. He had received a brown card with a golden boundary and symbol. Someone said that inside that card, there were trillions of wealth. He was free to use the money as he wanted, and 1% of spent money would be converted to his personal wealth. Lin Shin was shocked and wondered if he could really spend trillions. The system informed him that he could only use the money on girl. For own expenses, he must use personal wealth. Lin Shin noticed that his personal wealth was only 138, but he knew that as long as he spent more on counterattack gold, his wealth would also increase further. He stood and was ready to begin the use of counterattack. Lin Shin went to the Yida commercial district and was trying to test that card on someone. There were so many people who were lining up for milk tea. Suddenly he noticed an attractive woman, Luo Yaxi. She was a roommate of Liu Cheng. His system also popped a notification that it detected a high-level woman and started a counterattack mission. The system showed that she was 22 years old, height 167 centimeters, and weight was 45 kilos. The system showed that when the host's favorability would exceed 90%, the 10% of the counterattack gold amount will return as the host's personal wealth. It also stated that when the target's favorability would reach 100% towards the host, the status would be changed, and the affiliation between the host and the target would also be changed. Lin Shin approached her and asked if she had a moment for him. She was busy with her phone and the current favorability was 20%. She asked what brought Lin Shin there and questioned if he wanted her help to chase Liu Cheng again. She advised Lin Shin to forget Chung as she had already found a second-generation rich boyfriend. Lin Shin declined and stated that he had not gone to chase Cheng, but wanted to offer Luo Yaxi a cup of milk tea. He actually was trying that card on Yaxi. She was shocked and said that they didn't know each other well. Lin Shin then pointed towards an expensive dairy milk tea, which costs 199 yuan per cup. He asked if she was sure that she didn't want to drink the tea, which was quite popular. In the menu also, it was mentioned that the store only sells 200 cups per day. Luo Yaxi smiled sarcastically and asked if Lin Shin could afford it, as that cup of tea was worth a 10 days meal for him. There was a queue to buy that tea, and one boy who was standing there screamed that Shin should line up to buy it as they were also doing that. Lin Shin asked everyone not to be in a hurry and wait a moment and went to the counter. He asked the store manager and got to know that 180 cups of coffee was available. He wished to buy all those 180 cups of milk tea and asked everyone to take it as a gift from Luo Yaxi. The crowd was shocked and Luo Yaxi calculated that it would cost around 10,000. She asked if Lin Shin was sure and not joking. Shin asked the counter lady to swipe his card and the transaction of 39,800 successfully got completed. He asked her to hurry up and pack those for everyone. The people in the queue were shocked and started praising and cheering for Lin Shin. Money changed people's perspective in a second. What a world. The girls in the line wondered if Lin Shin fell in love with Luo Yaxi and her favorability increased by 1% each. Luo Yaxi was mesmerized and watched Shin affectionately. He asked her if she would go with him to spend money. It was a big mall and an excellent bag with a price tag of 18,890 was displayed. Liu Cheng was there with that rich dude with several shopping bags in her hand. He wanted to buy that expensive bag for her, but his mom had already warned him about spending a lot. He had spent enough that day and wanted to have dinner first before talking about that. Liu Cheng was still holding that bag, but her new boyfriend said that in order to get past her mother-in-law, she would have to behave better. Liu Cheng calculated that the gifts she bought were nothing much compared to that bag, but in order to marry into a big family, she must behave well. On the other hand, Luo Yaxi asked Lin Shin about a bag. It was another limited edition bag, which cost 38W. She asked Shin if she could buy that bag. He was thinking about it when Liu Cheng noticed them. She called them from far away and asked what they were doing there. She said that she knew how Shin was stalking her again and asked if he was not convinced that he was dumped. She thought that Shin had begged Luo Yaxi to play an act in order to anger her. Chung said that they had already broken up and asked why he was being disgusting. Lin Shin calmly asked who was stalking her and stated that he was there to buy bags with Luo Yaxi. Chung was not convinced and asked if he didn't have any better excuse. After all, he was poor in the morning. The system showed information about Liu Chung. Lin Shin told Chung that since they had broken up, he could go wherever he wanted and asked her not to butt in on his personal life. He warned her not to put a finger on him and asked if she thought that he was still the same. Liu Cheng was still not convinced that he had become a rich second generation in just mere hours, and her favorability towards him showed 25%. Her rich boyfriend then intervened and asked Shin not to brag much, but to purchase the bags if he had the ability. Lin Shin asked for a moment to think, but Liu Cheng kept screaming that Shin couldn't afford it. But our hero had other plans and said that buying one bag would not be enough. He asked the store lady, who was there to assist him, to pack all the bags and told that he would buy them all. The lady as well as Luo Yaxi, both were shocked. More than them, the one who couldn't keep calm was Liu Cheng. She couldn't believe what was happening and almost screamed. When Lin Shin asked to pack all the bags, everyone was shocked. The store manager ladies were bowing their heads in respect while their boss lady calculated the price. She told Shin that it would cost 11.32 million and handed over the calculator. Liu Cheng's rich boyfriend was still in shock and said that he would eat trash right then if Shin bought them all. Chung also asked Shin if he was out of his mind. Lin Shin didn't say a single word and just swiped his card successfully. The shop ladies thanked him for shopping that much and was so happy. Luo Yaxi was also amazed, and she didn't know that Shin had so much talent. She jumped towards him and wrapped around his neck and said that he was so kind. Shin told her that he was not like some other guy who only shows affection on the surface but doesn't spend money. It was clearly a verbal attack on Liu Cheng and her rich-looking boyfriend. The system showed that the favorability of Luo Yaxi was increasing by 20%, 3 times. The favorability of Liu Cheng also increased by 10%, 3 times in a row. The second-generation rich dude could not believe how Lin Shin got that kind of money and was looking at him with mouth open. Chung called him Wang Xiao and wanted to ask something. Xiao cut her words in the middle and said that only the newly rich show off everywhere and considered it as a shameless thing. Chung was almost hugging him while he said that real rich people like him keep it low profile. 2 women were passing by the store and the chubby one noticed someone at the store. She came towards Wang Xiao and was looking furious. She was anguished and called him by name. When Xiao looked back and noticed her, he started panicking in terror. He was trembling and asked why she was there. The heavyweight women slapped him tightly and called him a bastard. She asked what he was doing there. She said that she had bought him clothes, shoes, a watch, and even lended a car, but he was wandering around with another woman behind her back. She asked if he was not even good as a dog. The slap was so hard that the fake rich fell on the floor badly. He was kneeling in front of that lady and started asking for forgiveness. He pointed towards Liu Cheng and said that it was her who had seduced him at first. The woman was still looking at him with anger and Chung was speechless to notice all that. Wang Xiao was apologizing, holding her legs and telling her that he only had her in his heart. Chung was shocked and couldn't believe what Wang Xiao was saying. The other people in the store were enjoying the drama and discussing. Someone said that even though that guy, Xiao, had dressed like a dog, they had not expected him to be a real dog. Everyone was laughing at him and his fortune. The chubby lady told Xiao that she would only forgive him if he agreed to slap Chung in the face and warned to break up with him if he didn't do that. Xiao was still on her feet and looked back at Liu Cheng, and Chung was furious. Wang Xiao stood up, came towards her and slapped her so hard that she fell off the ground. She was hurt, but Xiao didn't care. He went towards her, grabbed the chain she was wearing, and called her a gold digger who seduced other people's boyfriend. He also told her that the necklace she was wearing was his. Lin Shin was watching that scene from afar, and Luo Yaxi was there too, resting her hand on his chest. Liu Cheng came towards him and pushed Yaxi back. She hugged Shin and wanted to say something, but Lin Shin pushed her back even harder. She again fell on the floor, but he faced the other way. After all the humiliation, Liu Cheng ran out from the store, sobbing. When she left, the system showed that her favorability increased by 1%. Lin Shin wondered why it happened, even though he was harsh on her. The heavyweight lady was still punishing Wang Xiao, and he was begging on his knee. Luo Yaxi moved towards Lin Shin and touched him from behind. She said that she didn't know that Wang Xiao was that kind of a person and felt pitiful for Cheng. She also feared if Lin Shin would become soft after that incident towards Cheng. To her relief, Lin Shin calmly stated that a gold digger like Chung didn't deserve any empathy and asked Yaxi to forget about it and urged her to get back to what they were doing previously. Yaxi thought that it looked like he really didn't care about Chung anymore. She said that Lin Shin was so kind to her and stated that she did not know how to repay his kindness. She was leaning toward him with eyes that showed affection. Her favorability was also increasing. About the repayments, Lin Shin asked about paying with her body but instantly felt that it was hateful and nonsense. Liu Cheng'er held his hand and said that it was not too late to go back and wanted to spend some money for him. Lin Shin was confused if she wanted to pay him, but she almost pushed him to a store. She showed him some beautiful shirts and expressed her willingness to try some clothes on him. She pushed him towards the changing room, and the store lady was watching them in confusion. After a few trials, Shin was wearing a blue check shirt and Yaxi complimented that it looked good on him. While doing the payment, she gave her card to swipe and the amount of 10,175 yuan was successfully transacted. Lin Shin then came out from the trial room with his new clothes. He was looking very handsome in jeans, a high-neck t-shirt, and a long overcoat. The ladies in the store looked at him with fondness. Luo Yaxi was so happy to see Shin like that, and her eyes showed happiness and passion. She never thought that Shin was that handsome and considered him to be a hidden gem. Her favorability further increased by 10% and reached 72%. Since Chung didn't want him, Yaxi wanted to make Shin her. Lin Shin then went to see himself in the mirror. It was for the first time when he found himself so handsome. Money can make you handsome, and it was proven. Lin Shin knew that all that happened because of the system, and he didn't expect Luo Yaxi to spend 9,000 to 10,000 on him. Liu Cheng was wearing a bathrobe and drying her hair. Luo Yaxi noticed her and asked if her face was all right. She was shocked and put her hands on mouth as she noticed the hand stamp on her cheek. It was actually karma for being greedy. Chung said that she was fine, and thanked Lin Shin for exposing Wang Xiao's truth, as she would have been kept in the dark otherwise. Luo Yaxi agreed and said that Chung would not meet someone like Wang Xiao in future. Yaxi then showed Chung the expensive bag Shin had bought, and Chung asked her to take it. The girls were happy and hugged each other. Yaxi said that she thought Chung would mind it, but Chung reassured that they were good sisters. Deep down, the two were not happy, but actually faking the bond and cursing each other. Chung had a 1-month relationship with Lin Shin and couldn't tolerate an outsider like Yaxi to interfere. Yaxi considered her a characterless woman and thought that Shin had been with her since then. After the shopping, Lin Shin also returned to the boys' dormitory. He had been shopping with Lu Yaxi all day and was too exhausted. He wondered if he would do that every time when he spent kicking dog gold and decided to find another way. When he was about to go upstairs, he noticed 3 boys coming down. Shin greeted them, but they focused only on Shin's clothes. One guy, Wang Jin, screamed that the outfit probably had cost Jin a lot of money. The other 2 thought that Jin had bought fake brands to show off as a second-generation rich boy. They had seen many poor boys like Shin doing that to attack attention. Wang Jin wrapped his hands over Shin's shoulder and stated how he has heard some rumors about Lin Shin. He talked about the incident where Lin Shin chased and spent so much money on Liu Cheng, but she dumped him. Wang Jin again said that he should spend money on online anchors as they don't break their hearts. The students were watching some shows, and the Goddess of Tea was live. The 2 guys were discussing how it was not affordable for ordinary people to swipe thousands of gifts to her. Lin Shin realized that he could also spend money on live streaming platforms and smiled. Lin Shin put his hand on Wang Jin's shoulder and said thank you. When Shin leaves, the guys talked about how they had pissed him, but he thanked him instead. They thought that something was really wrong with Shin's brain. One of them said that it was boring and suggested that they better watch the streamer Cha-Cha. He also informed Jin that the young Master Shu went on the air and it excited him. Lin Shin arrived at his room, which was a mess with clothes and leftover food lying around. He laid on the bed and looked at the phone and installed the leopard tooth application. After the installation was completed, Lin Shin was signed up with a nickname called Poor as Money. It was his first time and he decided to see where the list of streamers was. There was only a list in which no one was online. Shin remembered that the guys had mentioned a name, Cha-Cha, and searched for her. A girl in purple lingerie with an attractive body showed up, winking at the audience. Some audience members who were watching the live show were commenting on flirty and notorious things. Lin Shin's mouth was opened as he watched her and decided to spend money. Shin then wondered if the system could accept a counterattack mission from the live streaming. The system notified Lin Shin that the appearance of the streamer must exceed 80 points, otherwise the counterattack mission could not be started. It also told him how the streamers had filters on their faces, and that it is impossible to determine their appearance before meeting offline. Lin Shin admired the knowledge the system had. He then calculated that Cha-Cha looked over 90, and she should not be bad without filters too. He suddenly realized that he didn't care about her and anyhow wanted to spend money. Lin Shin was sitting on a couch, relaxing and smoking a cigarette. A notification popped out that someone with username Zhu Xiao had gifted her X5 golden leopards. Cha Cha was amazed and thanked young Master Shu for the gift. Someone who was watching the livestream commented that it was expected from Shu, as he had sent a gift worth 10,000 yuan. Other people were writing about the beauty of Cha Cha and their love towards her. Shu Xiao was on level 24, and he wrote about the competition coming up soon between Cao Cao and Shuang Shuang. He asked if everyone was ready, and someone named Jin Wang with level 15 replied quickly. Lin Shin thought that it must be his senior Wang Jin. Lin Shin then wondered how to send a gift. Zhu Xiao writes that their opponents may have come up with some tactics and wanted to tell everyone something. Wang Jin texted the rest of the users to keep quiet while young Master Shu was talking. Lin Shin smiled and considered Wang Jin to be an obedient dog of Shu. Shu Xiao again wrote that he didn't care about the strategy and strength of the other opponent. He asked everyone to charge him as soon as the game starts with all the strength they have. Lin Shin, with his username Whiteboard, too poor to have money, wrote a text asking Cao Cao about how much money he would need for the first list and should he first buy gifts or brands. Since Shu Xiao was not finished talking, it angered Jin Wang. He used curse words and asked who was replying while Shu Xiao was talking, despite being asked to keep quiet. Shu Xiao's ego was hurt and he demanded Cao Cao to kick out that user account. Cao Cao was sitting in front of her phone with a ring light. She was looking at the screen of her phone and thinking about the PK which was about to start, where she could only rely on Shu Xiao. For her, Whiteboard was just a newcomer that had obviously just signed up and didn't send her any gift. She was feeling nervous as her competition with Shuang was about to start, and Shu Xiao's tone was serious. She decided to kick out Lin Shin, and he received a notification on his phone. He realized that Cao Cao kicked him and decided to watch the live streaming of Shuang. The game had begun. Cao Cao told Shuang that she didn't have a chance to win and suggested that she should give up early. She promised to come up with an easier punishment for Shuang in that case. Shuang was also a beautiful girl, wearing white lingerie and cat ears. She crossed her arms and told Cao Cao that she also had so many followers and asked Cao Cao not to talk and to start the game immediately. The competition between Cao Cao and Shuang started. They did some seductive moves, and users started giving them gifts. The first stage was about to be completed soon, and Cao Cao had reached 86,000 so far, while Shuang reached only 21,000. Some supporters of Shuang asked her supporters to send gifts, but Cao Cao supporters, like Jin Wang, demanded that Shuang should accept defeat and dance. Shuang's supporters were ready to spend their salaries and even borrow money to give her points. Shu Xiao was irritated and asked if everyone had finished barking. He behaved like his time was worth millions and asked Shuang to dance without wasting time. She had no option and was ready to begin the dance. People were excited to see the dance and were commenting repeatedly. Suddenly, a notification came that a user with the nickname Too Poor to Have Money had sent Shuang a golden dragon. She couldn't believe her eyes and her jaw dropped. Shu Xiao also noticed that and screamed and wondered who had sent her a golden dragon, which was worth 15,000 Chinese coins. Shuang was happy and thanked Too Poor to Have Money for the gift by making a heart gesture for him. Cao Cao was also watching and wondered if that was the user she had kicked out. Lin Shin was looking at his phone with a smile and was wondering if he would need to swipe his card after finding the most expensive gift. He had expected that the system card could connect to the streaming service remotely to recharge. Lin Shin noticed that the money was already placed, and it was time to show off. He started sending golden dragons to Shuang, and other people were shocked to see that. Lin Shin first sent Shuang 5 golden dragons by mistake. He then sent 10 golden dragons, and after that sent 20 golden dragons. Cao Cao was terrified and her jaw dropped in shock while Shuang opened her mouth with joy. Cao Cao had 586,000 points and Shuang had 51,000 points. Shuang suddenly remembered something and asked Too Poor to Have Money to stop. She explained that it was better to send the golden dragons during the siege. Shu Xiao wrote in the comment asking Too Poor to Have Money if he was the same newcomer who was kicked out of the Cao Cao. People commented that he was a noob who didn't even know the rules of the contest. Jin Wang asked if it was a moment of panic and asked if he was a primary school student. He also commented that the user, Too Poor to Have Money, might use his parents' savings to show off. The other random users started laughing at Lin Shin in the chat and said that it was too late to regret. On the other hand, Lin Shin kept sending golden dragons to Shuang. The users were shocked with the non-stop golden dragons and went up to X1600. Lin Shin was proudly looking at the phone screen with a smile. Shu Xiao was also looking at the flow of golden dragons, Aina. Terrified look. He noticed that finally, the flow of golden dragons had stopped. He remembered how he had been watching Cao Cao for 3 years and had spent only 3 million yuan coins. It was surprising for him to watch the user, Too Poor to Have Money, to spend 1,600 golden dragons, which is worth 24 million yuan coins. Cao Cao was also sitting in a chair with a shocked face, realizing how much coins Shuang got. On the other hand, Shuang was dancing in joy and thanked the user for sending golden dragons and said, I love you. The other users started a discussion in the chat, inquiring about the user, too poor to have money. They were thinking that the opponent, that is Chow Chow, must be regretting her decision to kick out the rich dude. They all were praising the power of money continuously. Shuang Shuang then called Chow Chow and asked why she was still sitting. She teased her, saying if she got her skirt wet, and ordered her to accept defeat and move on to punishment. She asked Chow Chow to bend and turn, do one horse open and close jump, all to a set. Chow Chow was speechless, but started to do the moves as ordered. She also said that she was wrong, and she shouldn't have kicked him. The users were asking her to jump nicely and praising Mr. Too Poor, that is Lin Shin. While carrying out the punishment, Chow Chow thought about the incident and was angry at Shu Xiao. She thought of the 1600 golden dragons which could be of her if Shu Xiao was not there. She was laying on a table as she was tired after those moves, but the users kept ordering to do more. Lin Shin reached level 27 of a king after the money spent. He offered Chow Chow 3 options. First was to kick Shu Xiao out of the room, second was that Shu Xiao would get out by himself, and third one was Shu Xiao to attack the city by himself, and he announced that there were just 20 seconds left. The other users were amused with Lin Sina and said that only 4 people had king class. They were praising how the user, too poor to have money, deserved to be a king. At that moment of time, Cao Cao had 58,600, and Shuang Shuang had 24,222,1000. A notification popped out that young master Shu Xiao had left the broadcast room. Everyone started discussing how money was awesome and how the new user had become famous in one battle. The competition was over and the winner was announced to be Shuang Shuang. Everyone congratulated her and she thanked the user, Lin Shin, for helping her win. After that incident, Lin Shin's phone was flooded with a lot of notifications. He got likes, comments, fans, and messages. Jin Wang messaged him to apologize for mocking him blindly and asked if they could become friends or even brothers. Shuang Shunag also thanked him and said that she had no idea about how to thank him. She asked if she could add him to VX and sent her number. Cao Cao also messaged how she wanted to kick Shu Xiao, but unexpectedly, he left on his own. She also asked if he could forgive her. Cao Cao also told Lin Shin that his profile said that he was from Yanjiang. She considered it as a coincidence and informed that she was just going there for a photo shoot 2 days later. She offered Lin Shin to meet and asked if she could treat him to dinner to make an amendment. Even though she lost the PK, Cao Cao thought that she was better than Shuang Shuang in terms of appearance. She calculated that the rich man might spend money on her if she meets him offline. Lin Shin also looked at the phone with a smile and was worried that there were few tasks and considered that the compensation that he was given was not enough. He wondered if this was the way to turn off and sleep on the pillow, but he messaged Cao Cao with a mere shuri. Cao Cao happily kissed the screen of the phone, and she messaged that she would meet him that day and was looking forward to that day. She had also sent kissing emojis at the end of the message. It was a bright morning, and Lin Shin woke up and stretched his body. He remembered that he had not slept so comfortably in a long time. His phone notified that he had received a new message. The time was 7:35 in the morning, and he took his phone to see the message. Other boys of his room were already up and called him to eat breakfast together. It was a common room, and Lin Shin was in the upper deck of a bed. He told his mates to go without him and informed them that a girl would bring him breakfast. The 3 guys were shocked and looked back at him with dropping jaws. They started discussing Lin Shin in a group. One guy said that he had not expected Shin to talk nonsense in the early morning. The other guy shared how Liu Cheng broke up with Lin Shin the day before. He also said that he thought Lin Shin's mood was good after seeing him the night before. Someone asked how Shin could be okay after getting dumped. One guy suggested that they should take Lin Shin to have some drinks. Let him get drunk and get relieved. Lin Shin was silently enjoying that discussion for afar. In the entrance to the girls' dormitory, there were 4 boys with packages in their hands. One of them asked if they were also there to deliver breakfast. One of them agreed and answered that he brought breakfast especially for the beautiful Liu Cheng. Another guy said that he would give his packet to Luo Yaxi. The last one considered it as a coincidence. One of the guys asked if the others had also seen Liu Cheng's story the night before. Everyone had heard that Cheng was cheated by Wang Xiao. The guys considered it as a golden chance to win her. She had posted a picture with a status which reads that, "Tomorrow is new life. Bid farewell to the past. No longer have any nostalgia." Luo Yaxi, on the other hand, posted that it turned out that the person she had been looking for was always behind her. One guy thought that Luo Yaxi was referring to him and told everyone that she might have noticed him because he was always there. It was Wang Jin, and he was there with a box in his hand. Jin asked what was the difference between them and the licking dog, Lin Shin. He asked if those guys didn't know the story of him and said that there was no chance that Yaxi would go out with a licking dog. One guy didn't understand who Lin Shin was, so another one explained that he was the guy who ran after Liu Cheng for 3 years. One guy asked if their senior Wang Jin didn't come to give breakfast to Luo Yaxi. Jin laughed at them and asked if they would call it breakfast. He raised his hand with the box on top of them and bragged about it. It was milk-capped, light sweet, low-calorie macaron, which he had bought from a French restaurant. That breakfast cost 600 yuan per serving, and the guys agreed that it was so expensive. He insulated the other simps waiting for their turns and told them that it needs money to pick girls. He did the maths and said that if someone spends only $10 a day for a whole year, then the girl would simply consider him as stingy. He gave them a trick to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars a day to be able to get girls. While Wang Jin was giving the guidance to his juniors, someone shouted that the girls had arrived. Liu Cheng and Luo Yaxi were coming downstairs, holding hands and smiling. The guys were looking at them with admiration, opening their mouths like dogs. They admired their beauty and started informing them that they had bought breakfast. Wang Jin told Luo Yaxi that she was looking even more beautiful that day, and he showed her the box. He bragged how he had bought her light sweet and low-calorie macaron. When some guy offered her breakfast, Liu Cheng told them that her breakfast was coming. On the other hand, Luo Yaxi accepted a box of expensive macaron from Wang Jin and thanked him. Wang Jin was happy that Yaxi had accepted the food, and the other guys watched it with admiration. They said that it was expected from Jin. Suddenly, Wang Jin noticed 4 guys walking with Lin Shin. He yelled at Lin Shin and asked if he had just come. Yaxi was near Jin holding that box, and he asked if Shin didn't want to give breakfast to Liu Cheng, even though she dumped him the day before. One of the guys standing with Lin Shin said with an upset mind that it was Wang Jin again. Jin continued with his words and said that it was nothing new for Shin, as he had been chasing after Liu Cheng so hard for 3 years. One of the guys behind Wang Jin informed Lin Shin that Cheng had already ordered delivery. Wang Jin teased Shin by saying that he was late and asked him to come back early the next day. Lin Shin didn't say a word, but waited. Luo Yaxi approached Lin Shin and asked if he had breakfast. He said no, and asked if she had not messaged him saying that she wanted to treat him. The guys standing with Wang Jin couldn't believe in their eyes or ears. They wondered if Lin Shin was telling the truth or if they were dreaming. Wang Jin and the other guys widely opened their mouths as the event turns out like that. Liu Cheng also looked at Yaxi with anger. Suddenly, the courier came to Liu Cheng and informed him that he had brought her delivery. Luo Yaxi then handed Lin Shin the expensive breakfast she got. She was standing affectionately and told him that it was milk cap macaron. Lin Shin was so happy to get that tasty treat and admiringly yelled. He also noticed how her favorability increased by 7%. He wondered why it went up when she was the one who had brought the breakfast. Liu Cheng also went towards him and called his name softly. She offered him the Tianyuan Mujia that she bought especially for Lin Shin, which was worth 368 yuan. She asked for forgiveness for the way she had behaved the day before. Chun throwed herself on his chest and said that she was touched by his 3 years of hard work chasing him. She asked if he would forgive her, as she was naive back then. Liu Cheng thought that he was still attached to her, but Lin Shin turned around and walked away from her. He knew that he would have to become a licking dog who followed her around if he forgave her. He said there was no chance for that to happen, as he was not the same he used to be. He also said that Liu Cheng was sticking too close and it would be inappropriate to be seen by teachers. Liu Cheng thought that Lin Shin still had feelings for him, and that's why he was worried about her image. Her favorability increased by 70% at that moment. On the other hand, Luo Yaxi witnessed the whole scene, where Lin Shin pushed Liu Cheng away. She knew that Cheng had used that trick before, but it did not work on Lin Shin from then. Her favorability also increased by 10% as she thought that Lin Shin did it for her. Lin Shin noticed how the favorability got increased for both the girls and shocked to think it increased for him at the same time. The other guys who were standing there were also in shock with what was happening. They could not believe Liu Cheng and Luo Yaxi fighting over Lin Shin, who they considered to be good for nothing. The 2 beautiful girls went to Lin Shin and asked him to eat their breakfast only. The girls were so close to him that he was forced to sit down on the bench. Liu Cheng leaned over him and asked him to open his mouth, offering him food. Luo Yaxi was angry with her best friend and yelled at her. Wang Jin was terrified to watch the scene and hold his head in shock. He screamed how it could be possible that those 2 ladies were fighting over a man like Lin Shin. When the girls forced him to eat, Lin Shin raised his middle finger and said that he had clicked his phone 1,600 times with that finger. He said that his finger was cramping, but luckily there were those girls to take care of him. Liu Cheng crawled towards Lin Shin immediately and asked if she could see his hand. Luo Yaxi squatted in front of him and offered to feed him macaron. All the guys were looking at that in shock, and one was even filming it with his phone. Lin Shin was fed by the 2 beauties, and the boys could not believe it. They especially imagined Luo Yaxi, who was wearing a short skirt and sat in front of Lin Shin in squatting position. They imagined Lin Shin's point of view and started screaming. One guy described how Shin was eating ice cream with eyes and macarons with mouth, and he wanted to die of envy. The guys wondered how big the news would be. Luo Yaxi whispered in Lin Shin's ear that she would change the color later. After watching that, suddenly Wang Jin bleeded from his mouth. One guy yelled to call the school doctor, and soon Wang Jin was carried away on a stretcher, while Lin Shin kept eating foods from the girls. In the campus post bar, the photograph of these events was posted with a caption mentioning how Liu Cheng and her best friend asked Lin Shin to eat breakfast together. The post made a sensation in the school, and a discussion began under the post. People were admiring Liu Cheng and they couldn't believe that the guy getting fed was Lin Shin. They wondered if Lin Shin was a second-generation rich. One guy commented that he was also in that scene and confirmed how Lin Shin told about pressing his phone 1,600 times. But others considered it to be a lame excuse. There was another post on the campus bar about the competition between the streamer Cao Cao and Shuang Shuang. It posted how a leopard tooth girl had received gifts worth 24 million. People were actively discussing that news too. One guy wondered if Lin Shin was the one who was given that heavenly amount. Some guys pointed out that Lin Shin could be doing that on purpose. One of Lin Shin's friends yelled at him, pointed to his phone, and told Lin Shin that he was on the news. He also informed me that the journalism department wanted to interview him. Lin Shin spits out the pasta, yelling that there was no way for that to happen, and runs away. Liu Cheng and Luo Yaxi tried to stop him but couldn't. After he left, Luo Yaxi yelled at Cheng. She said that Lin Shin was originally from a low-key rich generation who didn't like to show off. She blamed Cheng for making it a big news and made him unhappy. Liu Cheng said that it was actually Yaxi's fault because she made Wang vomit blood. Lin Shin was hiding behind a wall and was looking at the guys. He hoped that those reporters had not followed him. On the other hand, Chao Kai sent a photo of her licking ice cream. She informed him that she would reach Yanjiang's airport at 7:30 that night. She asked if Lin Shin would come to pick him up. He was happy to read that message with a thought about a tool to spend money. Plus, he was looking forward to meeting the girl, Cao Cao. In the airport terminal, passengers were walking and rolling their suitcases. Lin Shin was looking at his phone, thinking about Cao Cao. She had told him that she had already reached the airport, but he had not seen her. He wondered if she was someone very unrecognizable, without a filter. Suddenly, he heard a guy talking to the girl, referring to her as Cao Cao. He asked where she was going and offered to accompany her in his own Benta car. The girl rejected the offers, but that guy was forcing her to go with him. Lin Shin looked back and found that it was really the Cao Cao he was searching for. He stood between her and the guy and stretched out his hand to create a barrier. Lin Shin said that since the girl was not ready to go, he should leave her. The guy was not happy with that intervention and asked Lin Shin to mind his own business and said that he was her fan. Suddenly Cao Cao recognized Lin Shin and asked if he was Mr. Qian. She showed her phone and said that his clothes were the same as described in VX. Lin Shin confirmed that it was him, and the guy jumped in shock and screamed. He bowed his head and apologized for not recognizing Lin Shin at first. Cao Cao left with Lin Shin and thanked him for saving her, while hugging his hand. Cao Cao thought that the guy gave her a gift of a few hundred yuan and wanted her to drive in his car for that. She told Lin Shin that she always thought that Mr. Qian would be a 40-year-old businessman. Cao Cao never imagined that he was so young and handsome. Lin Shin was smiling and asked her to call him by his name, Lin Shin. He also told her how he had not expected her to be more gorgeous offline than on the stream. Cao Cao commented that Lin Shin was good at talking. The system informs him that he can start a counterattack. Her age was 21 years, height 170 cm and 48 kg weight. Current favorability was 30%. Suddenly a guy, wearing a formal suit, raised his hand and called Cao Cao. She approached the man while wrapping Lin Shin's arm and called that man Mr. Zhao. She asked why he had gone there and introduced that man to Lin Shin. She said that the man often sent her a lot of gifts in the live broadcast room. The man informed that he had gone there to pick up Cao Cao as he didn't want her to take a taxi. He asked about Lin Shin's identity to Cao Cao. Lin Shin informed them with a smile that he drove a small Edenki scooter. Cao Cao was shocked, but remained silent. The man then offered to give him a ride, and Lin Shin thanked him and asked about the arrangement for his Edenki. His motorcycle was tied on the top of the luxurious car. Cao Cao and Lin Shin sat in the back seat, and the man was behind the wheels, driving that car. He thought that Lin Shin looked to be in his early 20s and wore clothes that probably cost only tens of dollars. He wondered if Lin Shin was actually the rich man who had sent over 2 million in live broadcast. He said that he had not imagined Mitch to be low-key, and asked if that was simplicity. The man said that Cao Cao probably wouldn't mind riding a scooter, but she had so much luggage with her, so it was more convenient to ride in his car. He asked Mr. Qian if he was right, and Lin Shin confirmed. Cao Cao kept looking at Lin Shin and wondered if he was really rich. After a few moments, the car had stopped in front of a mansion. Cao Cao gracefully entered the room and waved her hands to greet the people. There were few rich-looking, mid-aged people sitting at the dinner table. They said that the hero of the occasion had finally arrived and commented that Cao Cao had become more beautiful. One man told her that she was late and asked who was the man with her. Cao Cao introduced Lin Shin as the rich guy who had spent more than 20 million money on livestream to beat Xu Xiao. All the people sitting there stood up and were shocked. They asked if he was really Mr. Chen, and commented that he was too young, and one man said that he had admired Mr. Chen for a long time. Lin Shin remembered how Cao Cao invited him to dinner and promised to make amends. He realized that it was a way to gather the big shots who sent Cao Cao gifts at Leopard's Teeth. It was Cao Cao's Big Daddy dinner, and Lin Shin realized that she had a lot of wealthy hearts. Everyone was sitting at the table and a waitress was serving them some delicacy. One man then brings up the topic of Lin Shin and asks Mr. Zhao if Mr. Chen had come by in a donkey to pick Chow Chow. After hearing that, a man laughed. They thought that it was just a joke because it's not possible for someone who sent 20 million in gifts to not have money for a car. One of the men calculated that if 20 million is just Qianzong's pocket money, his total asset might be not less than 1 billion. One man said that he knew a lot of people in Jiang City and inquired if Lin Shin's surname was Lin. With an evil smile, he told me that there was not any rich family in that city who had that surname. Mr. Zhao yelled at Lin Shin for faking to be rich and for making him carry his scooter. Another man screamed and asked the President Chen if he was telling the truth. They asked Chow Chow not to get fooled by Lin Shin. One man asked if she had seen Mr. Chen's picture before. Chow Chow was eating silently and looked at Lin Shin. Her favorability towards him was reduced by 10%. She remembered how she had looked at Lin Shin's phone on the way and considered that Lin Shin was definitely the user, named too poor to have money. Chow Chow wondered if Lin Shin was still taking revenge on her. She had heard that some rich people were really all vengeful and perverts. But she decided to ignore those thoughts as her main concern was just his money. Only thing she was worried about was that he might not have money to spend on her. She was almost leaning over Lin Shin and thanked President Che for worrying about her. She then mentioned the Lin family, which was one of the 3 richest families in Shanghai. She asked if Lin Shin came from that Lin family. Lin Shin knew that even though Cao Cao was showing like helping him, at the same time she wanted to know who he really was. Lin Shin told that he didn't belong to that Lin family but bragged to have more words than that. He was drinking something and smiling while telling that. One of the men pointed his finger at him and laughed. The man said that Lin Shin was pretending to be rich and asked if he won the 20 millions on some lottery. The man presumed that Lin Shin couldn't make an appointment with Xuan Shuang and that's why he had come to cheat Cao Cao. Another man also supported that theory and blamed Lin Shin for using that fame to cheat Cao Cao for a night. Since Lin claimed to have more money, another man then asked Lin Shin what kind of cars Lin Shin usually drove and how many supercars he had in his collection. Lin Shin hugged Cao Cao's shoulder and said that he didn't have a single car and Cao Cao was confused. Lin Shin then asked Cao Cao about what kind of car she liked and promised to buy it for her right then. One man then stood up and slammed his hands on the table. He screamed and asked where Lin Shin was putting his hands. Another man mocked Lin Shin's words and asked if he thought car shopping to be the same as shopping from a street market. Everyone thought that Lin Shin was just showing off and had no money. Cao Cao ignored those and slided her head toward Lin Shin's shoulder. She said that she would like a Ferrari FA60 and promised that if he gives her such a car, then she would also give him something of the same value. The system showed that despite her words, her favorability towards him decreased by 15%. Lin Shin understood that Cao Cao was joyful on the outside but disappointed inside. He realized how good Cao Cao's acting skill was. He then stood up and left to buy that car. Cao Cao waved her hands to him with a smile. Half an hour later, Cao Cao and all the men were standing outside the room. Someone said that Lin had made a fool of himself and thought that Lin was a clown. He suggested Cao Cao to sing in karaoke. She thought that Lin Shin was really a liar, but previously she had some hope. She agreed to sing karaoke for that man. Suddenly a beam of bright light rushed towards them and everyone was uncomfortable. The men could not understand what was going on. It was Lin Shin, standing with too many Ferrari FA60 of different colors parked. Cao Cao and those men were in shock with mouths open. Lin Shin apologized to the gentlemen for blocking their cars with several thousand cars. He told everyone how Mr. Niu was so enthusiastic when he expressed willingness to buy a sports car and insisted on driving all of them over here to choose. Mr. Miu told humbly that their car service was meant for thoughtful sales and announced that Lin Shin's assets were verified by the Dragon Bank Black Diamond card. One of the men opens his mouth in shock, yelling that a Black Diamond card only verifies a person when he has at least 1 billion in assets. He asked if it was fake and if those cars were rented to pretend. But another man told everyone that he knew Mr. Niu and there was only one reason for Niu to be humble towards Lin Shin, which was that Lin Shin was really a rich man. After that, Lin Shin approached Cao Cao and told her that she was just in time. He informs her how a Ferrari FA60 was worth only 15 million and it was too cheap. Cao Cao couldn't believe that Lin Shin said 15 million cheap. Lin Shin explained that Mr. Niu said that those who like FA60 would also like Ferrari LF. He had decided to give Cao Cao a Ferrari LF, which costs around 32 millions. Lin Shin gave Mr. Niu the card, and Niu humbly took that. Cao Cao was shocked and couldn't believe that Lin Shin had actually bought her a car worth 32 millions. The men were also terrified to calculate that Lin Shin had spent more than 50 millions in less than 2 days. They assumed that it was just his pocket money and wondered how much financial resources he had. They were afraid as they had made fun of Lin Shin a few moments back. A man asked President Che not to pretend to be aggressive and mess with the rhythm with little experience. They said that they were killed by the president's idiotic deed. Mr. Niu had handed over the key of that expensive car to Lin Shin. Since it was a gift for his girlfriend, Mr. New inquired if Lin Shin would be interested in buying a car for himself. He rejected it as it was the most expensive car in their dealership, and he expressed willingness to buy a more expensive one for himself. Mr. New said sorry for disappointing him and left. Chow Chow was so happy, and she thanked Lin Shin for giving her the dream car. Her eyes were teary and she mentioned that she had not expected it. Lin Shin said that it was okay, as for him, it was just a little money. Chow Chow looked at him with admiration and her favorability increased by 50%. She wondered how Lin Shin had not taken advantage of the trend and asked her to give an equivalent return. The other men came to Lin Shin and started apologizing for their misbehave and stated it as a misunderstanding. The President Che called himself blind and asked for forgiveness. All those rich and old men were bowing before Lin Shin. The president also informed him that he had heard about Lin Shin's wish to buy some expensive car. He mentioned his largest car sales company in Yangjiang City. He humbly requested Lin Shin to take a look and offered the biggest discount to show sincere apology. Chow Chow, on the other hand, hugged Lin Shin's arm and requested him to accompany her for the test drive. Lin Shin questioned why she doesn't go by herself. Chow Chow said that she had figured out a way to repay him. She whispered that since his gift was too big, she would not be able to give it at once and asked if she could do it with installments. She also mentioned that for that first payment, they should be alone somewhere. Lin Shin started blushing after hearing that. He had expected for a famous anchor like Chow Chow to work hard, and his curiosity was aroused. He left that place in a rush with Chow Chow, leaving those men behind. Chow Chow gave a pen to Lin Shin and asked if he could write his name on her lap. Lin Shin lifted her miniskirt a little above and noticed an elastic band with a heart. He was amused and eyes were wide open when he noticed that there was a sorry note written in her lap. Chow Chow said that it was a record of the number of installments she had made. She said that she would make a note on it every time she would make a partial payment. She pointed towards her glossy lips and asked if Lin Shin was satisfied. Lin Shin said that it was quite satisfying, and they ran their car to Carlton Hotel. Chow Chow went live and started showing her new Ferrari. She mentioned that she went to Yanjing City and Lin Shin had given her that car. Some people could not believe it and commented that it was a Ferrari worth 2 million. Someone called the guy an idiot and clarified that the car was a Ferrari LF worth 30 million. They discussed that Mr. Chen would take over Chow Chow, but some people doubted and said she would not be taken by just a few tens of millions, as she was called Goddess Chow Chow. Some corrected that it could happen with hundreds of millions. While she was busy live streaming, Lin Shin was talking with the president. He told Lin Shin that there was a group of tycoons in that city. He mentioned how some richest kids in the world wanted to know about Mr. Qian. Lin Shin agreed and asked to pull him into that group. President Che praised the straightforwardness of Lin Shin. Lin Shin felt the vibration on his phone and picked up the call. It was Lao Li, his friend on the other side. He informed Lin Shin that there would be a class reunion the next day at Lin Shin City. Lao Li asked if Lin Shin would tag along, and he agreed, as there was nothing to do anyway. Lao Li also informed him about Xia Yuxuan from the Department of Literature of Jiang University. She was considered a flower and was also going to that reunion. Although they were classmates, Lin Shin had never spoken to her. All he knew about her is that she was from a very rich family. Lin Shin agreed to join that reunion. The next day, Lin Shin reached the venue, a 5-star hotel named Meridian, in his scooty. Lao Li waved his hands to Lin Shin and he asked about the parking place, but Lao Li also had no idea. Suddenly, the scooter started producing some noise and gases. Lin Shin tried to kick it and screamed what was wrong. He then remembered how Mr. Zhao was holding his scooter the previous night. Zhao said that he would look forward to doing business with Mr. Qian. He also considered it an honor to give Lin Shin a ride and said that he hadn't expected Lin Shin to be a student. It had happened after Chow Chow had left, saying that she would meet him after her shooting. Lin Shin thought that his scooter might be damaged by Mr. Zhao and planned to take compensation for that. Lao Li, who was unaware of Lin Shin's wealth, thought that Mr. Zhao was some porter. A black luxurious car stopped by Lin Shin and yelled that they hadn't seen each other for a long time. It was Lian, a rich-looking guy who asked Lin Shin if his scooty was broken. Lin Shin wanted to tell him about the incident last night, but Lian blamed himself for that. He was laughing and said that Meridian Hotel had no parking for scooty. He said that he had chosen the place without considering students who would drive scooty and promised to pay attention next time. When Lian got out of the car, he throwed the keys towards his driver. The students surrounded him and asked how many millions does that Porsche cost. A girl referred to the questioning by Xiaozhang and asked if he didn't know that the hotel was run by Lian's family. Xiaozhang said that even though he knew that Lian was rich, didn't expect him to be so rich. One boy started praising Lian and told everyone that the cost of Meridian would be over 300 millions. He said that even though Lin Shin was rich, he was considered for Lin Shin. Lin Shin, on the other hand, was looking for a place to park his scooty. In the meantime, Luo Yaxi called him and asked if he would want to have a meal together that Saturday. Lin Shin informed her that he was at a high school reunion and suggested meeting her the next day. He actually had only 2,000 money on him. Luo Yaxi said that the next day would be good as she would be out of commission in a couple of days. Lin Shin wondered if some relatives would visit her but just asked her to take care of her body and drink lots of hot water. Luo Yaxi was amazed by his care, and her favorability increased 2% and reached 91%. Lin Shin had completed the first task of Counterattack, and 10% of Counterattack golds he had spent on her was returned into his personal wealth account. Lin Shin was amazed by the magic of those words, but he considered that the 1.13 million was too little. He decided to spend more money to gain personal wealth. He opened the personal attribution panel in his system. It shows his name, age 22, and strength, agility, physique, and intelligence of level 1. He was rewarded with +1 level in all attributions and had an opportunity to draw 1 skill. After that, he reached level 2 and felt very good warmth through his body. He then moved to choose the single draw miracle where he was given 3 options. The system informed him that he would have to select 1 skill from 3 randomly generated skills before the countdown ends. The clock started counting down, and there was 7 hours, 59 minutes, and 59 seconds left. The first skill, a level appreciation of cultural relics. Second skill was C level 5 whips of lightning, and the last one was D level singing and dancing rap. Lin Shin was devastated to see those skills as they had no use in everyday life. He suddenly remembered about his reunion party and decided to go there first. Since he had felt difficulties in parking the scooty, he thought to buy a car for him, but he couldn't use the money for himself. When Lin Shin entered the room, everyone was sitting around a round table. While taking a seat, Lin Shin asked Lao Li about Xiaoyu Xuan. Rich Lian interrupted and sarcastically said that Xiaoyu Xuan had nothing to do with Lin Shin. He explained how Xiaoyu Xuan was the most attractive girl from the literature department and had a very rich family background. Lin Shin asked if she was really from a very wealthy family. Lao Li was not surprised with Lin Shin's little knowledge and told him that Xia Xu belongs to a very strict and scholarly family. This was the reason for her being low profile. The students started discussing Xiaoyu Xuan after that. Someone mentioned how he recently discovered that the city museum was owned by her family, and others commented on her wealth. A girl, who was trying to flatter Lian, said that Lin Shin and Xiaoyu Xuan had nothing in common. She also mentioned how only Lian was qualified to chase Xiaoyu Xuan. Another girl agreed, and Lian was proudly enjoying the attention he got due to money. Lin Shin, who was secretly rich, didn't pay attention to those words and was enjoying his brown coffee. Suddenly he noticed something, and his eyes became wide open. A beautiful lady in a graceful dress and attitude entered the room. She apologized for being late due to a traffic jam. It was none other than Xiaoyu Xuan. Xiaoyu Xuan had an attractive and elite aura. She entered the room and brightened up everyone's mood. Lin Shin was amused to see that she was looking pretty even without wearing makeup. He knew that it was what one can expect from a flower. The system showed her face value to be 94, and Lin Shin was impressed. Lian waved his hand and called Xiaoyu Xuan to sit near him. The lady sitting by his side also stood up to appreciate Xiaoyu Xuan's beauty. Lian was irritated and asked them to get out of his way. Lin Shin took that chance and offered Xiaoyu Xuan a seat near him. She accepted and went there to sit. She greeted Lin Shin by his name, which was shocking. He had not expected her to remember his name, but Xiaoyu Xuan said that she knew the names of her classmates. The system activated Counterattack and showed Xiaoyu Xuan's age, height, and weight. The current favorability was 0%, but Lin Shin was happy that it was activated. The other students couldn't believe and bear the fact that Xiaoyu Xuan was sitting beside Lin Shin. They didn't understand how Lin Shin had dared to ask Xiaoyu Xuan. The one who was more pissed off was Lian, the rich attention seeker. His eyebrows furrowed, eyes turned red, and teeth were gnashed. He called Lin Shin, and with an evil smile asked about Lin Shin's girlfriend from college, which he was chasing for 3 years. He asked why Lin Shin had not brought her to that party. Lin Shin stated that they had broken up the day before, but people didn't believe it. Lian claimed that Lin Shin was lying as he was after Xiaoyu Xuan. Lian said that those lies could only deceive children. One girl also started blaming Lin Shin and said how she used to think Lin Shin to be an honest man. She called him a scumbag, but Lin Shin clarified that he was telling the truth. Though Xiaoyu Xuan said nothing, her expression showed disappointment, and the favorability also decreased by 1%. Lin Shin turned blue after noticing that but Lian was cruelly happy. Lian then brought up the fact that Xiaoyu Xuan had a keen interest in art and cultural relics. He boasted that he had bought a Maria by Fitch from a collector in Shanghai. Xiaoyu Xuan looked back at the picture hanging on the wall, and Lian asked if she liked it. The lady stood up and went near it to take a look. In the meantime, Lian went to Lin Shin and put a hand on his shoulder like a spoiled brat. He warned that he would make sure that Lin Shin could not find a job in their city if Lin Shin tried to impress Xiaoyu Xuan again. Lian then moved towards Yuxuan and started telling how much he loved that painting. He also stated that there would be an auction in the city for another of Fitch's paintings, named Blessing of the Angels. Yuxuan said that she had not realized that Lian had interest in Renaissance artists and asked if she could get a closer look. Leon agreed and said he would show her. Leon was happy that his tactics worked out well. He had researched Yuxuan's interests and hobbies, even though he found them boring. Suddenly, Lin Shin stood up and asked if he could also watch it together, as he also had interest in Big Fitch's paintings. Lin Shin had selected the skill of relic appreciation before moving towards it. Leon agreed and thought that Lin Shin would make a fool of himself. He handed that painting to Lin Shin, and Yuxuan kept thinking about it. Leon asked Lin Shin to weigh it and let them know his opinion about that. Since the skill of cultural relics appreciation was activated, Lin Shin understood his assignment and called that painting fake. He explained that in the late works of Big Fitch, a technique called thin paint cover was used. The glaze used to be made with small pigments and a large amount of castor oil. He also mentioned that each brush stroke had a translucent effect. But in the painting Leon had bought, the colors were not transparent due to high pigments. Lin Shin also described how Big Fitch used to fade corners of the eyes and mouths of his characters to achieve a delicate softness without boundaries. Xia Yuxuan was amused to hear those facts from Lin Shin, and he said that the taper was a little hard to use. Lin Shin finally told Leon that the painting he had bought was a fake picture. Leon was shocked and irritated with Lin Shin's words. He called Lin Shin a layman, didn't believe in his words, and claimed that Lin Shin had learned half-baked water appreciation technique from the internet. One girl who was simping Leon also asked Lin Shin not to pretend to be a professional. Lao Li also asked Lin Shin not to talk about it anymore. To their surprise, Xia Yuxuan stood up for Lin Shin, said that he was right, and stated that she also had studied appreciation of Big Fetch. She claimed that the painting was just a high-quality imitation. Everyone was shocked and couldn't believe it. They almost jumped in terror with mouths wide open. Xian Yusuan looked at Lin Shin with admiration and asked how he acquired such professional knowledge. Lin Shin told her how, as a child, he was upset about foreigners robbing their culture. He also shared about his goal to buy and return all the artifacts to the country, even though we know that he had acquired that skill. Just a minute ago, Leon burst out laughing when he heard about Lin Shin's dream and asked if he could really do that. Leon told him that there was nothing one could not buy with a certain amount of money. Leon and his minions started laughing at Lin Shin and asked if he was a schoolboy. Despite their insults, Xia Yuxuan said that she also had that unrealistic dream as a child. The system showed that her favorability towards Shin increased by 5%. The students didn't stop laughing and acting weird, though. With a calm voice, Lin Shin said that dreams were too far-fetched a term, but they were just goals that he would accomplish. Everyone was shocked to hear that confident statement. Leon noticed that Yuxian had sat back down next to Lin Shin again. It made him even more angry and desperate. He went behind Lin Shin and stood by with a weird look. He couldn't believe how Lin Shin had dared to pretend to be aggressive in front of him and tried to steal Xia Yuxuan from him. He promised to make Lin Shin realize the difference between him and Lin Shin. On the other hand, Lin Shin was sitting just quietly and peacefully. There were some delicious dishes served at the table. Tuscan salad, Brussels chocolate souffle, slow-cooked Canadian veal shank with seasonal stories, Andean venison salad with spices were included. The students were surprised to see those dishes, and Lao Li told everyone that he had never eaten such dishes before. Xiaozhang asked why everyone was served different dishes. Leon asked if he didn't know such simple things. He explained that those dishes were not included in the menu, but were specially decided by the chef. He mentioned that the chef used to work in a Michelin 3-star restaurant and had that personality. He said that it all depends on the mood of the chef when cooking. Leon also commented that Lin Shin's luck was not good as he was served with some boring bun and salad. They didn't understand what was going on, and someone thought it to be some item from molecular cuisine. He mentioned that chefs on the internet made those kinds of strawberries and all. When Lin Shin took a bite of that bun, he realized that it was normal steamed buns and squash. It was not surprising, as he had already assumed that Leon would try to bully him. Leon kept asking how those steamed buns tasted. He offered to order someone to withdraw the dish and ask the chef to make another one, if Lin Shin didn't like the taste. He then mentioned how the chef cooked delicately, and no dish could be cooked in 1 to 2 hours. The purple-haired simp girl commented that it would be worth waiting for that long for a delicacy made by that chef. Leon said that if they didn't wait, it would not be good to sing karaoke with an empty stomach. The girl was excited and asked if he had planned to sing later. While Leon was busy with that conversation, he suddenly noticed that Lin Shin and Xia Yuxuan were busy talking. It made him jealous and shocked at the same time. Lin Shin was telling Yuxuan that the patterns on both sides of the nose of the gold mask were beautiful and had the function of eliminating the wrinkles of the mask. He appreciated the wisdom of the ancient times. Xin Yuxuan was impressed with his ability, and her favorability increased by 2%. She said that the professional knowledge Lin Shin had was the same as her teacher. She promised to invite him next time to appreciate it, together with her master. Leon felt like a joker to watch that ongoing chemistry. Lin Shin noticed his phone notification, which said that he was invited by Mr. Che to join Yanjiang Prince-Daughter group. He remembered how Mr. Cho told him about that rich second-generation group the previous night. He joined and started reading those messages on that group. The users were very pleased to see that Mr. Che had brought Mr. Qian in that group. Someone doubted him, but the others mentioned how Mr. Qian had gifted Chow Chow a 30 million worth car the previous night. Lin Shin was reading those texts and wondered if it would be better for a newcomer to send greeting gifts. Since Counterattack Gold could not be used on men, he found a girl who looked okay. In the group, a notification came that the user, too poor to have money left to transfer 18.88 million to a user named Smiling Yanbao. Lin Shin then texted that in that application he couldn't send big red envelopes. He said that he had sent money casually to one person, and it was to invite everyone to drink tea. Smiling Yanbo thanked Mr. Qian, and everyone was shocked. A user named Shichiro Inoue said that the money Mr. Qian had given them to drink tea was worth half his pocket money. The user who earlier had suspected Mr. Qian also apologized for his behavior. While everyone was busy thanking Mr. Qian, a profile named High Profile Prince called him arrogant. He then asked if Mr. Qian wanted to go to Melodin. Mr. Qian said that he was already there, and some other users were also ready to go there. The high-profile prince was actually Lian. He had messaged Mr. Qian and introduced himself as the young master of Meridian, Feng Billion. He said that he would cover all the money spent on that day in Melaton. Lin Shin messaged asking what Lian's point was, and deep down he considered it as a coincidence. Lian said that money was always welcomed and expressed his willingness to be hospitable. Lian was happy that he had made connections with more rich people and was ready to finish Lin Shin. He had no idea who he was referring to in real life. He had planned to complain about Lin Shin to those rich men. Lian started dreaming about how people would inquire about his bad mood. He was ready to blame Lin Shin for it and imagined the scene. He thought that everyone would beat Lin Shin and would agree to never hire him in their companies. He was planning to make friends with Mr. Qian, embarrasses Lin Shin, and shows off his connection in front of Yuxuan. Lian came back to reality and asked if everyone was done eating. He said that he would take everyone to the karaoke room on the top floor. He also announced how he had made an appointment with some rich people in Yangjiang City, so that they would be able to get to know the rich people. The students who were always ready to lick Lian praised that deed too. It was a well-decorated golden hall where Lian greeted some rich men. A man referred to Lian as Feng Xiao and commented on how young he was. Lian also asked the man about his business. Lian's classmates were watching that from behind and wondered with the power he had. They were so grateful to Lian that opportunity and wished to hang out more with him. After all, it was money and power, which made people dogs. Lian then introduced Yuxuan to that man as the daughter of the Xia family. He also told Yuxuan that the man was Mr. Shu, the #1 real estate owner in that city. Mr. Shu said that he knew Xia Qimao, father of Miss Yuxuan. Yuxuan was holding a glass of wine and softly greeted Mr. Shu. The man also praised her beauty, but is not that creepy for an old man? A waiter called Lian in between and informed that one of Lian's classmates wanted to order a bottle of Jiawei Old Rosso sherry. The waiter pointed towards Lin Sim and asked Lian if he should give that or not. Lian was shocked and wondered about that news. The other students also heard that and called Lin Shin crazy because the wine was costlier, like tens of thousands yuans. They said that Lian was kind enough to bring them there, but didn't understand how Lin Shi dared to order such an expensive wine. Lao Li, being a good friend of Lian, tried to cover up and commented that probably Lin Shin didn't know about the price. To their surprise, Lin Shin stood up and said that it was what sherry was. He mentioned that it was alright because someone had actually invited him. When Lian heard that Lin Shin knew sherry, he decided to open that bottle. He definitely had an evil plan in his spoiled brain. He took the chance to humiliate Lin Shin and opened the wine. The students were discussing if Lin Shin also knew some wealthy people and wondered about the price of that wine bottle. After opening that bottle, Lian informed Lin Shin that the price was 250,000 per bottle. Since it was already open, he said that it was too late to regret it. He went very close to Lin Shin's face, was making weird faces like he won some kindergarten competition. Lian warned that if the local rich friend of Lin Shin could not pay the money, Lin Shin would have to pay back the price. He asked Lin Shin to go to dig coal and offered to arrange a job via his uncle. Lin Shin calmly said that he didn't understand wine and thought how he considered wine to be as expensive as their long names. Lian said that Lin Shin looked handsome when he pretended and asked him not to be embarrassed to pay later. Lian then moved towards the crowd of rich men and inquired about the whereabouts of Mr. Qian. Someone informed everyone that Mr. Qian was also in the Golden Hall. Suddenly a man was seen in the door, and everyone considered it to be Mr. Qian. To their disappointment, it was President Mr. Che. He apologized for being late. Everyone wondered why only Mr. Qian had not arrived there. Lian and others ran to find Mr. Qian without knowing what he looked like. Mr. Che noticed Lin Shin and ran to greet him. Since he had made, Mr. Qian waited, promising to punish himself with 3 cups. Everyone turned their heads to Lin Shin and wondered if he was really Mr. Qian. They were shocked and started screaming. Only Jia Yuxuan was clueless, as she didn't read gossip news. Lian was terrified to learn that and almost screamed. Lin Shin said that he was really Mr. Qian. The other second-generation rich kids started praising Lin Shin for his good look and young age. One person even asked if Mr. Qian had a girlfriend and wanted to introduce Mr. Qian to his sister. Lin Shin's classmates were more than shocked, and their jaws dropped. The pink-haired girl asked if Lin Shin was so rich. The other guy commented on how the other rich people were behaving like licking dogs in front of Lin Shin. Lao Li said that it was completely different from how those people were behaving with Leon. Leon was still in disbelief and aggressively told everyone that Lin Shin was cheating those men with unknown methods. He claimed to know Lin Shin's parents and said that they were just super poor. He didn't believe Lin Shin to be Mr. Qian. President Che was done with Leon's attitude and started scolding him. He insulted Leon and asked to shut up. Mr. Che also called Leon to be the trashiest person with the lowest education and ability. Mr. Cho mentioned how Leon just spent a lot of money given by his parents every month and called it a failed investment. He said that the stocks were losing money and considered it a shame to their group. He asked how Leon had dared to offend and scold Mr. Qian without any ability. President Che was very angry that he kept bad-mouthing Leon continuously. Lin Shin was enjoying the show with a wine glass in his hand. Che asked everyone to kick Leon out of that prince and daughters group. Leon was panicking and shaking his legs in fear. He asked Mr. Che not to do so. Lin Shin proudly raised his glass and said that it was okay, as Leon had promised to bear his expenses for that day. Lin Shin then asked the bartender to distribute the most expensive wine to all the audience. He also asked everyone to drink until they were satisfied. Everyone was so happy to hear that. He started praising and thanking Mr. Qian and money for that. Leon was laying on the ground, realizing the cost and his future. After the party was over, everyone was ready to leave. They thanked Lin Shin for inviting them and wished to meet again. A man was waiting for Jia Yuxuan with a long, luxurious car. She said goodbye to everyone and was the first one to leave. It was an extended Rolls-Royce, and the classmates expressed how jealous they were. Lao Li commented how Yuxuan was always humble despite being so rich. He said that he would show off his wealth everywhere in that situation. Lin Shin was also thinking about the same and considered that she deserved to be called a piece of gold. She was exposed to high-class society from a very young age. She had not shown any surprise after learning about Lin Shin's status, and even her favorability had not increased a bit. Lin Shin considered her as a hard person to get and wanted to spend money on her. After she left, Mr. Chi approached Lin Shin and showed him some photos. Since Lin Shin was not interested in cars of 30-40 millions, Che mentioned about an 80 million car. There were only 10 of that car in all over the world, and it was not even available in their country. Mr. Che was not sure if Lin Shin would like that, but after looking at those, Lin Shin's eyes brightened up. He complimented that it looked good, and Mr. Che excitedly ran to arrange it in a few days. Lin Shin's classmates were envious and considered Mr. Che to be very fast in dealing. Lin Shin checked his personal wealth, and it was 11,38370. He planned to spend more counterattack money to increase his personal wealth. When he was returning back at night, he noticed a girl crying in the street. It was Liu Cheng, and he went near. She was happy to see Lin Shin there and asked if he had come back. She started telling that her father had a heart attack and was admitted to the hospital. She mentioned that she would need 8,000 yuan for surgery, but her family couldn't afford that at once. She went very close to Lin Shin and asked if he could lend her the money. Lin Shin disagreed to believe her, as she had used that father in the hospital excuse 5 times in the last 3 years. He said that she would buy branded items with that money and was not ready to give her even a penny. Liu Cheng's eyes were wide open in disbelief and mentioned how he was willing to spend millions on Luo Yaxi. Lin Shin was not a fool anymore and said that he would do anything he wanted with that money. He cleared that Liu Cheng had no right in his assets. Thay Gold Digger was devastated and called Lin Shin heartless. She wanted to remind him that their breakup was not even a month ago. Lin Shin didn't buy her excuses and thanked her for his good days. He mentioned a dinner appointment he had for the next day and didn't want to chat. He left her with that condition even though she requested him not be cold. Lin Shin noticed that her favorability towards him decreased by 20%. He started thinking about Liu Cheng and remembered how he thought that Liu Cheng would change after the incident with Wang Xiao. He agreed that he was expecting too much from a cheater and claimed to not have any plan to spend money on that loser. It was the next morning, and everyone was busy in the university. Lin Shin was reading a message on his phone and noticed that Lup Yaxi had invited him to dinner. He considered it a joke, as he didn't want anyone to come in the way of his counterattack money. Another notification informed him that Chow Chow had come to live in that application. The leopard tooth assistant also messaged Lin Shin and offered to customize exclusive gifts for him. Lin Shin was interested in that, and he returned to the live room. Cao Cao was doing a wide leg stretch move on camera. She welcomed Mr. Qian, and the audience also started greeting him. Cao Cao asked if she could dance for him or wanted to specify any action. Some other users were also excited to watch the dance, but another one mocked that he could not send a supercar like Chien. Lin Shin didn't mind anything and presented his customized gift called Anchor God of Wealth. The value of that wearable gift was 880,000 each. Someone commented that the highest gift previously was Satan, which cost only 500,000 each. Cao Cao was very shocked and put her hand on her mouth. She thanked Chien for that amount of money. Lin Shin kept sending the gift multiple times and her eyes were sparkling in joy. Within a moment, he had sent her X341 of God of Wealth Advent. When Cao Cao realized that the amount was around 300 millions, she couldn't utter a word. Her favorability increased by 20%. She was sweating and blushing with teary eyes. She promised to do anything for Mr. Chien, but the system told her that he had left the live room. Cao Cao was shocked and jumped onto the floor after hearing that. She couldn't understand why he was gone. Lin Shin, on the other hand, was too happy to spend that 300 millions as he calculated to get a refund 30 millions at time. Cao Cao was only thinking about Mr. Chien after that incident. She remembered how he had given her a sports car, and now he had given her 300 million. She understood that the sports car was to humiliate the other rich men, but couldn't figure out why he gave her so much money. There was no PK going on, nor she had asked for gifts. He had not even watched her show. She snapped her face to reality. She remembered that men were not trustworthy and considered Mr. Chien to be just an ATM for her. She promised that she would never fall in love with him. Even though she sounded confident, her action was telling a different story. She kept looking at Lin Shin's picture on her phone. Lin Shin was in front of the school and was ready to call DD. Suddenly, he heard some noise and followed the sound. Some guys were removing masks from Liu Cheng's face. They asked if she thought that they wouldn't recognize her with masks. They were holding so that she couldn't escape and even touching her inappropriately. She noticed Lin Shin, but he didn't pay any attention to the situation. Liu Cheng realized that he would not come to help her. Liu Cheng was telling those guys that she had no money and asked to give her 3 days. Those guys were aggressive and were not ready to believe in her. She promised to borrow the money, but they asked about her boyfriend. It seemed like she told them that he would lend her money. They asked if he rejected, but she mentioned that she had actually broken his heart. The guys thought that she was lying and called her boyfriend a scumbag. The guys asked if she wanted to call him to come over, but she said no. They asked to cut the crap and started capturing her with force. She asked what their plan was in fear. The main guy told that he was going to sell her body to get his money back. She tried to resist, but they blocked her mouth with their hands. Even though she was literally doing that already, she resisted to do it by force. She asked one man to help her, but that coward also ran away. The goons asked if she still wanted to call someone for help. They mentioned how they had been kidnapping people like that, and no one had ever dared to stand out. Liu Cheng had nothing to do and was sobbing quietly. She realized that she couldn't blame Lin Shin, and it was actually her fault. If she had not gold digging, she would not have ended up in that situation. She was sorry for hurting Lin Shin, but it was too late. The guys started the car, where they hand-packed Liu Cheng. Suddenly, the guy in the driver's seat was attacked with a heavy punch. The guy asked who dared to touch him, and it was Lin Shin in person. Liu Cheng was so happy that tears came out of her eyes, and favorability increased by 40%. The guys, on the other hand, were so angry and screamed to kill Lin Shin, but he started attacking them with money. He asked to take their 800,000 and leave immediately. The guy started picking up the money and asked if he was Liu Cheng's boyfriend. Lin Shin didn't like that question, said no, and called it nonsense. While the guys drove away, they pushed Liu Cheng out of their car. She fell on the ground and screamed in pain. Those guys also called Lin Shin cruel and warned to take revenge for the attack. Lin Shin had nothing to comment and stood by Liu Cheng. After the car left, Liu Cheng said sorry to Lin Shin again. He told her to stop pestering him in future while leaving. Her favorability increased by 10% again. She knew that she was not good enough for him at that moment, but decided to make up for the damage she had done to him. A yellow car was moving on the road. Lin Shin was in the back seat, watching some live streaming. The guy who was driving the car asked if Lin Shin also liked watching live broadcasts and wanted to know his preferred platform. Lin Shin was not interested in talking and said that he was just looking for some gifts. The man continues to say that he usually watches The Leopard's Teeth. He mentioned how it was all about Mr. Chien and told how that rich guy had given a host 300 millions. Lin Shin said that he had also watched and started messaging again. The driver was watching that broadcast on his car and noticed that Mr. Chien had paid some anchor on Do You Live. He wondered if that rich man was playing with fish. Lin Shin then moved to watch another platform, Sound. The driver was listening and wondered why the passenger switched the application in a few seconds. He considered it to be a tactic to earn some free gifts to spend on the hosts. He thought that Lin Shin was doing tasks like checking in to collect gifts. The man had not spent a penny to watch those shows and considered himself not that stupid. He advised Lin Shin to have fun watching those girls and asked not to get played by it. Even though the man told it as a kind advice, he had no idea who Lin Shin was. The man noticed another streaming notification of Mr. Chien giving money to some streamer. Lin Shin again switched to another application, and the notification came in the driver's scene. The driver was too busy to figure out what was happening and drove roughly. Lin Shin asked him to drive steady instead. After Lin Shin got out of the car, the driver was still looking at him, wondering if that passenger was actually Mr. Chien. It was too troublesome to make appointments one by one, but it was the only way to spend those counterattack gold. Lin Shin planned to spread his net everywhere to get more chances. He was in a crowded area, looking for something. It was Nanting Village, next to the university. Many students used to rent houses in that place, and prices were low there. The main reason was the consumers, which were mostly college-going students. He wondered why Luo Yaxi had invited him to that place for dinner. Luo Yaxi appeared in front of him, wearing a very attractive black dress. She was excited to meet him finally, and greeted. Lin Shin turned red after watching that beauty. She held his hand and grabbed him into a room. The place was nicely decorated and maintained. He wondered, but Luo Yaxi jumped into his chest and hugged. She mentioned how he had chased Liu Cheng for 3 years, which proved how dedicated he was as a person. She also said that Shin never asked her anything in return, even after spending a lot of money on her. It was not like some other boys. She said that even though she had been in a few relationships, she had protected herself. She was looking desperate and went very close to Lin Shin. Suddenly, Lin Shin remembered how Luo Yaxi had more than 90% favorability, which was the degree of falling in love. He understood why Luo Yaxi looked different. He was so busy counting the refund that he had forgotten about that ride. He moved towards her and said that if she had no problem getting into his arms, he would not refuse either. He was not afraid to spend money and started having that fun. He noticed that Luo Yaxi was in some pain and apologized for pushing it hard. The lady was so in love that she asked him to do it as he liked. He started pushing himself into her with passion and taking off the clothes. Suddenly, Lin Shin heard a voice asking someone called Nana not to leave. He recognized that it was Zhou Tong's voice. They watched from the window and noticed a scene. A girl was leaving the place while Tong, a friend of Lin Shin, was asking her not to leave. The girl looked back and punched so hard that his spectacles fell on the ground. She asked why the boy was being loud and if he was not embarrassed enough. While she was leaving, she threatened him to let the whole school know about that incident. The glass was broken, so thus the heart of that boy. Lin Shin went downstairs and picked up the broken spectacles for the boy. He asked what was going on there. The boy recognized Lin Shin and told him everything. He told how Nana, the girl and the boy had been in love for half a year. After wearing the glasses, he noticed Luo Yaxi in that beautiful attire. His eyes sparkled, and Lin Shin told him that she had invited him for dinner. Shin asked Tong to continue his story. Tong said how he and Nana had made an appointment to watch a movie. He mentioned that Nana proposed to go shopping before the movie. She wanted to buy an anti-wrinkle series, which costs 8,000. Tong didn't have that much money, and told her honestly. He said that after hearing that Nana became angry and stopped watching the movie. He kept telling how they were doing good before since didn't understand her behavior. Luo Yaxi asked if he was Chen Nana's boyfriend, and told him about the rumor of her getting a rich boyfriend recently. Lin Shin turned around in shock, but Tong was not even ready to believe it. He said that it was impossible for Nana to cheat him. Yaxi asked Tong to believe her as the news about their sister group was never wrong. Tong couldn't grasp it even then, and started screaming. Lin Shin planned something and asked Tong to call Nana. He asked Tong to tell Nana to buy cosmetics for her. Lin Shin then told Yaxi to ask her friend about that new man. Lin Shin was getting ready to expose the real face of Nana to everyone. There was some smoke in the air, and it was Lian. He was smoking a cigar with a purple-haired girl. They seemed to be having some good time in bed. The girl asked why Lian was sad, and he confessed that his life had become a mess. He explained how he was almost kicked out from the elite group, but Lin Shin had saved him. Even though he was in the group, no one talked with Lian after that incident. He thought that he would never be able to do that again and assumed his fall. It felt like hell, and Lian was worried about his future. Suddenly, some messages popped in his phone, and Lian started jumping in joy. He said that it would be a chance for him to rise again. The girl didn't understand a bit and kept looking at Lian with confusion. Actually, Lian wanted to know if anyone from that elite group owned a shopping mall. He was willing to borrow their place to support his roommate. Several users said that they had shopping malls and wanted to help Lin Shin. Lian also informed about Silver Moon Plaza, which was near the University of Lin Shin. Lian's family owned that place, and he offered to help Lin Shin. From the several options, Lin Shin selected Lian's place as it was close to him. It seems like everyone was looking for a chance to help Lin Shin. Lian considered that opportunity to climb up the social ladder once again. He started driving to pick Mr. Chien to discuss their plan. He had also taken that lady with him to show Lin Shin that he was not chasing Xiaoyu Xuan again. The purple-haired girl was so excited to know that they would meet Mr. Chien in person. Lian stopped his car by a small roadside restaurant. He said Mr. Chien would be there, and the girl excitedly searched for him. Lian pointed towards Lin Shin, who was eating there. He was wearing a basic t-shirt and half pants, and eating normal food. The lady could not believe that it was that rich guy and screamed. Leon, on the other hand, was amused and admired how Lin Shin was standing out even in a low-end environment. It was not Lin Shin, but his money, which forced everyone to bend their knees. Leon praised Lin Shin for eating breakfast in such a place even after having so much money. Lin Shin noticed that Leon had arrived and recommended that place for cheap and delicious rice noodles. Lin Shin suggested going to the Silver Moon Square and offered to explain the plan to Leon on the car. When they reached the place, it was crowded as always. According to Lin Shin's plan, Tong had invited Chen Nana and was waiting for her at the gate. Luo Yaxi's sister had arranged for the man to come there. Tong's duty was to see if Chen Nana and that man were in a relationship or not. Chen Nana saw an old man and both were shocked at first. Tong noticed that the old man was kissing Nana on her lips. He couldn't believe that and yelled her name. Tong was so angry and became like a fire. He went to Nana and stated that she had cheated him with that ugly old man. The man insulted Tong and asked if he was Nana's poor boyfriend. Tong cursed that old man and said that he had nothing to do with him. The man was shameless and made a pervert joke from that. The old man, Mr. Yu, called the security guard and Tong was shocked. The security guard asked what was going on and Mr. Yu ordered the guard to arrest Tong. He complained that Tong had been affecting his shopping with his girlfriend. Tong couldn't grasp the reality and the guard also asked him to leave. He tried to explain how that man was actually dating his girlfriend, but Nana asked him to stop his nonsense. She hugged that sugar daddy and called him boyfriend. Tong's heart was broken into pieces, and he asked why she was doing that to him. He said that their 6-month relationship is worth more than that old man. Tong was so delusional to compare money with some stupid feelings. Nana asked if Tong had not realized how much power that old daddy had. She mentioned that the old was a million-level VIP customer of that mall. She asked why she would want to endure hardship by being Tong's girlfriend. She mentioned how one should think about their future. The old man also advised Tong not to think about love at that age. He asked him to make money so that he would be able to get a 20-year-old girlfriend in his 40s. That pervert was holding the gold digger like a trophy. Tong had nothing to do, but he couldn't also agree to that hard reality. He was almost broken and devastated. A sports car stopped at the parking lot and attracted their attention. The old man told Nana that the person in that sports car was the young master of a famous hotel and was also the owner of that shopping mall. He mentioned how he had done a lot of business with him. Nana was so excited, and her eyes were wide open. She complimented Mr. Chu for being an amazing person. She noticed Leon coming to greet her old boyfriend and was super happy. To their disappointment, Leon approached and hugged Tong instead. It was surprising for both that ethikless couple and Tong. Leon asked Zhou Tan if he had checked their shopping mall. He was holding Tong like they knew each other so well. Leon said how he wished Tong to think about that investment again and mentioned the development of 2 upcoming malls. Leon also said that he was looking forward to their cooperation. Mr. Chu and Nana were shocked and started screaming as if they had seen a ghost. They couldn't believe that Tong was investing in Feng Shao. Suddenly, Nana noticed a lady with a beautiful figure and mini dress. It was the purple-haired girlfriend of Leon. She commented how Zhou Tong liked to make people wait for so long. She went to Tong, slided her head on his shoulder, and asked if he had not promised to buy her some expensive bags. She asked him to buy her from the latest summer collection. Nana was terrified and asked how Tong could be so rich, even though he had no money to buy cosmetics worth thousands. The girl looked slightly and asked if Nana was even worthy to spend money on, which infuriated Nana. Tong noticed Lin Shin at a distance and understood that the 2 unknown people were hired by Lin Shin to help him. While the lady was hugging him, Tong told Leon that he was inspecting the operation of the mall. He mentioned that the face of the old man had ruined his experience and said how he claimed to be some kind of million VIP. Leon pretended to be angry and asked how a person like that had become VIP of his mall. He said that it had brought down the style of his whole mall and ordered the security to call their manager. He also ordered his staff to cancel the VIP and asked to pay the old man the 2 million for breaking the contract. 10 security guards agreed, and Mr. Chu was furious. He threw Nana out so hard that she fell on the floor. He said that he would not upset Mr. Feng because of that girl, as he would lose his building materials business from that. He tried to explain the incident as a misunderstanding and started apologizing to the young guys. He asked to treat himself as a fart. Even though it was so lame, Tong laughed and made a joke on him. Leon also asked the manager to remember the faces of Nana and Chu and ordered the guards to blacklist them from his plaza. Chen Nana and Mr. Chu were so doomed and tried to beg in front of Tong. Zhou Tong was not ready to forgive and commented that the old man might not make it due to age. Chen Nana didn't understand what they should do after that. All that humiliation was enough to make Mr. Chu frustrated. He realized that he had no chance with Mr. Feng anymore, so he started cursing. Mr. Chu bragged that his company was famous and one Leon could do nothing to harm him. Suddenly, a lot of cars rushed towards that mall. The rich second-generation youngsters parked their cars there and started talking about the ride. Nana and Mr. Chu were shocked again to see all those people together in one place. Their faces turned purple and jaws were dropped. Everyone came towards Lian and Tong. One rich lady asked if the guy in spectacles was Mr. Zhou. Someone said that Lian should not take all the benefits and asked to give them next chance too. Lian then explained that it was an honor to help with money, but that day was all about who knows who. They all started discussing how Mr. Chu dared to offend Mr. Zhou. Mr. Chu heard that and panicked because he realized that this time he was really over. Zhou Tong thanked Lin Shin for the help. Lin Shin said that there was no need for a thank you in friendship. He also mentioned that taking revenge was more important. Tong then inquired how Lin Shin knew so many rich people. To cover up his reality, Lin Shin said that those were actually merry-go-rounders who also do acting. Tong somehow buys that lie without further questions. He then took leave from Lin Shin to go back to school and offered to bring some fried rice from the cafeteria. Lin Shin asked him to remember not to add duck neck in his rice. The rich kids were watching that and wondered why Mr. Qian was doing that. Someone said that he might have some good reason, and a lady said that Mr. Qian was down to earth. A lady was looking at Lin Shin and thinking something. Lin Shin then thanked everyone for helping out. He invited everyone to treat some spicy hot soup. The crowd thanked him but considered the hot and spicy soup part as a joke. Lian appreciated the humor and suggested everyone to go to the bar on the 7th floor. People supported the idea and asked Mr. Qian to pay the bill. Lin Shin was worried from inside as he had never been to any fancy bar before. He wondered if it would be expensive. After everyone reached the bar, they started talking. Someone mentioned how the streaming platforms had started to hire good-looking anchors after Mr. Qian had spent 100 million in love broadcast. A man commented how he started to feel poor compared to Mr. Qian. 4 people were drinking in a group. A man told how he thought Lin Shin to be the son of an invisible rich man, and a girl also agreed. They suddenly noticed that a lady named Yanyan was quietly drinking. The man asked why she was doing that. He then started explaining how he actually wanted to help that lady, but her program was so expensive. He further clarified that it was not just money, but the program was also nonsense. He asked how her small team dreamt to solve a problem which was not solved by China's biggest tech gurus. He also asked why she was so determined to start her own business, while she could just bow down to her father. Those lazy rich guys were doing nothing except spending money and dared to advise someone to stop dreaming. Without realizing how worthless he was, the man also asks the lady to satisfy Mr. Qian to get money. He wanted the lady to travel comfortably with other money. Even those taunts could not demotivate Yanyan. She stood up in anger and said that she was not someone who gave up. She left the table telling that she would hug Mr. Qian's thigh if they didn't lend money because of her father's fear. The man discussed that Mr. Qian would also reject her idea after knowing her business plan and assumed that she would be disappointed. Some other people were busy talking with Lin Shin. A girl in a red dress informed him about a hot nightclub and the shows aired in the VIP area. She invited Lin Shin to experience it someday. Another man called the nightclub noisy and asked Lin Shin to attend his private party. He even offered to send a car to pick him. A man asked if Mr. Qian had interest in California poker as he had a field for that. Lin Shin was exhausted after hearing that nonsense for a while. He said that even though those plans were good, he only had interest in spending money rather than playing. He knew that actually those men wanted to establish a relationship with him. Lin Shin noticed a lady approaching him and asked if he really liked to spend money. It was Yanyan, and she pushed Lin Shin with her hands on his chest. She asked if Lin Shin would like to spend money on her. The guys were shocked to hear that proposal. Lian asked if she had burned the money Mr. Qian had given her on the chat. A guy yelled and asked Mr. Chai not to give any money to that little girl. He claimed that she was doing something outrageous and anyone involved would be ruined. Zhang Xian, aka Yanyan, was so done with their talks and screamed to shut their mouth. Lin Shin asked if she was Yenbo in the group and wanted to know why she needed money. The system showed that Lin Shin had found a high-level woman. Her age was 25 with 172 cm height and 49 kilos weight. Her favorability was 10%. Lin Shin didn't want to miss an opportunity which had come to his door on its own. Xian told Lin Shin that she was working on industrial chips. A person again tried to advise Mr. Qian that he should not listen to that lady. She didn't stop though, and stated how it was academically a valid thing to do. She explained that the project was only suffering a small technical problem which was not resolved. The people didn't stop blaming her for burning billions and said that she would not earn a Nobel Prize for that project. Zhang Xian was not someone who was afraid of people and almost kicked them with words. She moved towards Lin Shin and asked if he would be interested or would prefer to laugh like others. Lin Shin took a second to think and commented how that could bring more capital to China to fight against the US. He said that currently the United States was suppressing China in technology. He announced his willingness to spend on that project of Zhang Xian. The rich kids were shocked and almost spilled the things they had in their mouths. Xian asked if Mr. Qian wouldn't research her company, the possibility of success and cost. She mentioned how it was likely to go down the drains. Lin Shin said that there was no need for those and was willing to send the money first. He asked to send him the contract later. he decided to transfer 500 million and even told her to ask for more money if needed. Even though the project doesn't work out, he said that it would be fine. He was just there to encourage entrepreneurship. He even mentioned how he felt Xian to be a trustworthy person. She was the only one who was interested in business and talked about it. Zhang Xian was impressed with the words and started blushing. She noticed that her account was credited with 500 millions and realized Mr. Qian was not kidding. Her favorability increased 20% as she understood that Lin Shin really trusted her. The guys who were trying to cancel the deed were shocked. They considered Lin Shin to be super rich, who didn't even investigate before investing 500 millions. They said that it could only be expected from Mr. Qian. Lian even wondered if Lin Shin had fallen into love with Yan Yan. When they were busy talking, Lin Shin bid them goodbye, mentioning some urgent work. The lady was still standing there, watching the screen of her phone. After Lin Shin left, the crowd of rich men started talking about the bill. They asked who would pay that bill of $33. Someone asked if it was on Qian as he had invited them there and mentioned how Mr. Qian always escapes. The other people were offended by those words as they believed Mr. Qian just tends to forget about small bills. They started attacking the person asking how he could even think about Mr. Qian in that way. In reality, the bill was too expensive for Lin Shin and he didn't want to pay that. In the home, Zhang Xian was busy cycling inside the room. She was connected in a video call with her friend. They were talking about Mr. Qian, who had invested in Yanyan's project. Yanyan told how she could not believe it either and mentioned how he was a different man. The girl with whom Yanyan was on call was Xia Yuxuan. She congratulated Yanyan for solving the most crucial problem of her entrepreneurial journey. Xian remembered how she used to ask for money from her father. He didn't want her to open a business and asked to handle the family-run business instead. He had also frozen her cards to limit her spendings. She even tried to convince her uncles, but they also asked her not to bother them. They even advised her to stay inside and commented that she should have gotten married already. When she remembered her hurdles, Xian became more focused on her goals. She then asked Yuxuan to stop talking about her business and wanted to know about the reunion Yuxuan had attended. Xia Yuxuan told how the reunion was normal, but a classmate of hers really surprised her. She mentioned how his appreciation skills were similar to her master. Xian could not believe that Yuxuan had grown some interest in someone, as it was so unusual. She wished that the man should not look like a nerd. Yuxuan asked if Xian was also not interested in the man who had invested a lot of money with unconditional trust. Xian yelled that she never said to have interest in him. The two had no idea that they were talking about the same guy, Lin Shin. While Yuxuan was busy reading a book, a lady entered her room. She called Yuxuan and reminded her that Mr. Cao would be a future shareholder of their museum. She advised Yuxuan to get close to Mr. Cao. Yuxuan seemed not so happy about that, but agreed with her mother. Lin Shin had entered his dorm room to find his friend, Wu Zhi, in bed. He asked what had happened to him. Zhai informed that he had a fever and requested Lin Shin go attend his duty for that day. He promised to pay Lin Shin 150 yuans for a day. Lin Shin agreed, asked Ji to rest, and started finding the uniform. Wu Ji worked part-time at the Wuxian Museum 3 nights a week. Zhou Tong and Zheng Hao were scared of the dark, so Lin Shin had to go to work when Ji was unable to go. He wore the uniform, asked Ji to rest well, and advised not to move around. When he reached the museum, there was no one in that museum. He wondered if it was booked. He decided to spend some money on anchor shows in his spare time. While he was busy in live streaming, girls were thanking him for super gifts. A car stopped at the museum gate. From the car, a man with attitude and his lady assistant get off. He was Mr. Cao, and a man greeted him well. He mentioned that Mr. Xia's family was waiting upstairs for Mr. Cao for a long time. Cao asked the subordinate man to take him there. When they passed Lin Shin, he was busy on the phone and didn't notice the people. Mr. Cao angrily asked if the museum had hired a blind man. He also asked the subordinate if they hadn't teach their workers to greet someone on arrival. Lin Shin stood up, apologized, and welcomed Mr. Cao. The man also apologized and mentioned that Lin Shin was a college student, working part-time there. The women commented that Lin Shin's lifelong career might be being a security guard. Mr. Cao also taunted him, asking if his college didn't teach him to bow head in 90 degrees. Lin Shin was already irritated and replied that school had taught him, but not to losers. His attitude infuriated Mr. Cao, and he asked if Lin Shin was trying to teach him a lesson. He asked the man to fire Lin Shin immediately and didn't want to see his face anymore. The man tried to explain about the manpower shortage, but Mr. Cao was not ready to agree. He said that Director Xia had to listen to him and asked to fire Lin Shin. The man agreed and showed Mr. Cao the way upstairs to meet the director. Lin Shin was standing there and feared if he would kill Wu Zhi's part-time job. He suddenly remembered that it was a museum run by Xia Yuxuan's family. He wanted to hurry up and find her to talk about love. The director Xia welcomed Mr. Cao with his wife and daughter. They shake their hands, and Xia Mao admired Chao's willingness to contribute to the cultural relics. He asked Yuxuan to come and show Mr. Cao the museum. She hesitantly agreed to it, and her father warned that it would depend on her to get investment from Mr. Cao. Xia Yuxuan directed Mr. Cao towards the treasure of the town hall. She showed him the last calligraphy painting from the Tang Dynasty poet God. She mentioned that the poem had more than 200 characters, and it told the feeling of not wanting to separate with friends. She said that if looked closely at that painting, one can see that even in the midst of the poem's divine brushstrokes, there was an unmistakable feeling that the poem had been written in a way that it had not been written before. She said that one could feel emotions from that poem of the poem God. Mr. Cao appreciated the beauty and put his hands around her shoulder. It's clear his interest was on her, not on those artifacts. It made Yuxuan angry, and she pushed Mr. Cao away. She asked what the meaning of that gesture was. Mr. Cao apologized insincerely and mentioned he wanted to eat her due to her beauty. Xia Yuxuan realized that Mr. Cao had no interest in those cultural relics and asked why he was investing in the museum. Mr. Cao stated that there was no need to have a hobby if someone could make money. His evil smile made that scene even more hateful. His words were very hurtful for Yuxuan, and she said that one could not measure those cultural relics by money if they have little understanding. She couldn't believe that her father allowed someone like him to invest in the business. The man opened his tongue in an insulting way and asked if Yuxuan was living in a fairy tale and appreciated that spirit, which was not found in other women. After that, Mr. Cao went to Mao, Yuxuan's father. He said he was quite dissatisfied with the museum, but was ready to buy it for 600 million. He said that he would let Ms. Xia see the real world and said that he would only do the investment if Xia Yuxuan married him. The Zhe family was terrified and asked if it was not too much. Yuxuan also yelled that she would never marry a bastard like him. But 600 million was a heavy amount to make Mr. Xia and his wife quit. Yuxuan asked her parents to call the security guard to throw out Mr. Cao from the museum. Mr. Xia stated that he was hiding the truth from Yuxuan, that from the past 2 years, their museum had not generated any profit. They were facing bankruptcy at that moment, and Mr. Cao was actually there to buy that museum. Xia Yuxuan was shocked and screamed. Mr. Cao mentioned that no one was ready to invest in their business, and their only hope was Mr. Cao. He promised that their life would be better if Yuxuan agreed to marry. Yuxuan was feeling hopeless and asked if her mother wanted to sell her to that man. Her mother was just crying and apologizing. She left the matter on Yuxuan's hand. Her father also told her how he didn't want that marriage, but their bankruptcy would be unavoidable without that. She understood that some merchants and collectors would buy most of those cultural relics at low prices, or would leave on the black market in that case. It would also cause a lot of hardship to their family. She didn't want that to happen. She remembered how she had started appreciating cultural relics from a very young age. Her father used to explain how those items should be priceless, and was the hard work of a craftsman. She could see the effort of craftsmen to make those beautiful relics. She also remembered how some rich people only wanted to make money from those relics without having any respect for them. She was going through the conversation between two rich men who were bragging about their business out of those relics. She also remembered how some boys used to present gifts to her, thinking that everything could be bought with money. She used to think that some things were priceless, but she was now forced to accept the dark reality of life. She was feeling lonely and fragile from inside. Mr. Cao said that he would behave well with her after marriage. He also promised to buy her another museum if she could give him a son. With no option left, Yuxuan agreed to marry that money-boasting creep, just to save the museum and her parents. Her parents were happy to see their daughter getting sold and appreciated her growth. Mr. Mao asked her to sign a contract after that. A lawyer was there, and he announced that it would become legally effective and unchangeable after both parties signed it. Mao considered Mr. Cao to be very generous for eating their daughter's future and had no opinion about the contract. They were happy to see their daughter's marriage as long as it saved their backs. Her selfish mother was also no less, and handed her the pen to sign the contract. The creep Mr. Cao was licking his lips like a pervert, waiting to destroy Yuxuan in a minute. Yuxuan was ready to sign, but her hand was shaking, eyes were teary, and was in extreme pain. Someone entered the room suddenly and asked her to stop. It was Lin Shin, in his security uniform. He told everyone that he had heard that someone was buying that museum. Lin Shin heroically entered the room and told that he had heard about someone buying that museum. The parents and Mr. Cao were shocked and looked back at him. Yuxuan recognized it to be Lin Shin. Mr. Cao started bursting in anger when he saw Lin Shin. He started abusing and called the security guards to kick him out. The lawyer commented that Lin Shin was the only security guard working in that night shift. It infuriated Mr. Cao even more, and he tried to kick Lin Shin. Lin Shin, being a young soul, resisted the move and slapped Mr. Cao hard in his face. At least the creep got what he deserved. The force was too high for Mr. Cao and he fell on the ground. The incident was enough to start a war, and Mr. Cao started shouting, screaming, and yelling. He warned to fry and sue Lin Shin. Lin Shin had not paid any attention towards those words and moved towards Yuxuan and softly touched her cheek. Her eyes were teary, and the touch felt heavenly. She was blushing, and it made her parents more confused. They asked if Yuxuan knew that boy. Xia Yuxuan said that he was her classmate from high school. Mr. Mao considered him to be a kid and advised Lin Shin to focus on college instead of doing security guard jobs. Lin Shin was actually busy with the contract written by Mr. Cao. Yuxuan's father then asked him to apologize to Mr. Cao as he seemed to not understand the situation. He asked if he suffered losses due to Lin Shin's behavior, would he be able to pay the price? Lin Shin didn't utter a single word and just tore the contract in a second. The three people who were trying to make that deal were shocked and started screaming at the situation. Mr. Mao started collecting the pieces, crying and asking what Lin Shin had done. Lin Shin proposed to buy the museum for 1 billion, and it was shocking for the Xia family. Mr. Cao didn't believe that and said that he would eat trash if Lin Shin could come up with 1 billion. Lin Shin had already experienced that situation before with Xiao, so he was irritated this time. He said that Xiao would never do that even if Lin Shin came up with the money. Mrs. Xia asked Yuxuan if her classmate was rich, but Yuxuan had no idea about it. Mr. Cao called someone named Chang Zi, explained the situation and asked them to bring people to beat Lin Shin. Yuxuan heard it and started worrying about Lin Shin. Mr. Mao, being a shameless father, started to make a new deal with Lin Shin. He considered that Lin Shin also wanted Yuxuan and didn't even try to hide his greed. He proposed to hand over the museum and his daughter to Lin if Lin Shin could guarantee to take out 1 billion. He just demanded 500 million as the first sum of installment. Mr. Cao started yelling at Mao, but that old man seemed to be a great business indeed. He announced that if Lin Shin couldn't come up with that money, he would sign the previous deal with Mr. Cao. Xia Yuxuan was standing there, without any expression. She was probably blaming herself for having a creepy father. The lawyer was even more quick and had prepared a new contract immediately. All conditions were kept the same except the name and amounts. Lin Shin started reading the contract and commented how it only consisted of 3 words: sell your daughter. Mr. Cao could not bear Lin Shin anymore as he thought that Lin Shin didn't have the money. He asked Lin Shin to leave before his people came to beat. Lin Shin paid no attention to Mr. Cao's yelling but was focused on an internal change. He found it hard to understand what was happening and just went near the calligraphy painting. He started reading the poem and commented that it was the strength of character of cultural relics. Mr. Cao, the lawyer, and Yuxuan's parents were watching him with confusion. Lin Shin said that he wanted to make some changes in the contract. He asked the lawyer to change the details for him, but he said it was not something Lin Shin could change on his own. Xia Mao shamelessly said that he would not decrease a penny. Lin Shin then explained that he wanted to pay 1 billion only for the museum, and artifacts inside would not be included in the contract. The money-loving trio couldn't grasp the fact and screamed. Lin Shin said that those cultural relics were priceless treasures of the museum that could not be measured with money. Xia Yuxuan was really impressed and was listening to him with admiration. Lin Shin further said that those relics would be owned by the Xia family. Since Xia Yuxuan loved and respected those a lot, he had given the rights to use the museum and manage the relics to her. Lin Shin said that he would become the largest shareholder and would decide the rights. He said that Yuxuan was going to be the owner of the museum and asked her to sign the contract. He went close to her and asked her to contact him at any time if she needed money or any trouble. Xia Yuxuan was looking at him in admiration and couldn't believe how things turned out to happen. Surely she had better classmates than her own parents in that case, and her favorability increased by 10%. Lin Shin then took out his golden card and transferred the whole money at once. Mr. and Mistress Mao and Mr. Cao were terrified to see that happening. Cao started calculating the amount of assets owned by Lin Shin. Yuxuan asked why Lin Shin helped her family. He mentioned how he had a dream to bring back all the relics that were left behind China. He said that those treasures belonged to the people of China, not goods to be sold by merchants. Mr. Cao started yelling at Lin Shin after hearing that episode. He said that Lin Shin just bought that museum to put a show in front of him. He mentioned how that museum wasn't even worth 500 million and asked how he dared to dream of buying back all the relics. He said that if Lin Shin had guts and money, he must go to the auction in Japan, happening next month. He mentioned that China's long-lost miles of mountains and rivers and the glazed goddess of mercy would all be there. He said that each one would be worth billions and asked Lin Shin to go there, instead of taking. Lin Shin asked Mr. Cao to wait and watch. Mr. Cao suddenly ran out of that room, and the lady who was accompanying him fell short. When they were leaving the premises, she asked if they should still beat Lin Shin. Mr. Cao didn't want to fight as he knew Lin Shin might not be a normal person. This time he had accepted his defeat but had other plans in mind. Someone called Cao, and he picked up. A man asked if the purchase of the museum was successful. The man mentioned how they couldn't fail in that to accomplish their goal of some East Asia artifacts collection program. The person on the other end was Mr. Kamita. Mr. Cao told the whole situation, how a brat named Lin Shin messed up their plan. He also mentioned how he had managed to get Lin Shin to attend the auction. He said that Mr. Kameta would get a chance to personally make Lin Shin apologize. Mr. Kameda was happy to hear that and found it interesting. He mentioned a Chinese saying which goes like a true dragon who isn't afraid of being refined by fire. Kameda said that what belongs to him would not be taken away by others. Mr. Kao was also excited to see the power of Mr. Kameda in that scene. After the contract was signed, Lin Shin became the largest shareholder of the museum. The Xia family couldn't thank him enough and invited him to attend a late-night dinner at a hotel. Her father also pushed Yuxuan to have a drink with Mr. Lin. The old man had not learned any lesson and was still trying to present his daughter as Sale Bailey. Lin Shin was not happy with that and left the place mentioning how he had a night shift to work. Xia Yuxuan enjoyed his attitude and her favorability increased by 10%. She followed him downstairs and asked if he would really visit Japan. Lin Shin says that he didn't joke and was ready to go there. Xia Yuxuan said that she would also go with him when the time comes. She asked for Lin Shin's permission. In the morning, Lin Shin returned to his dorm room after his shift. He was feeling sleepy while working. At his duty last night, Xia Yuxuan chatted with him for half the night. She had fallen asleep suddenly, and it was worth watching. Lin Shin could only sit there and stare at her. After that night, he was feeling very sleepy. Luo Yaxi and Liu Cheng noticed his condition and asked if he was suffering from insomnia. His other roommates were also curious about it. Yaxi threw herself on his arm and said that lack of sleep was not good for his health. She advised him to skip school and proposed to go to a rented room to relax. Liu Cheng yelled at her and asked to stop wild thoughts. She mentioned how classes were important to attend and proposed to sit beside him in class. She suggested Lin Shin rest on her thigh so that he could listen and rest at the same time. He was not happy to see Chung again and asked if she had forgotten his words. Yaxi was hugging him from the side at that time. Chung said that even though she remembered every word that Lin Xinjia said, she couldn't resist her feelings for him. She claimed to have fallen for him completely. She also mentioned how she wanted him back in his life, no matter if he is poor or rich. She offered him a golden paper crane and suggested they start their relationship from the beginning. She promised to make up for her mistakes and to cherish him this time. The students who were present in the hall started clapping for the confession. They asked Lin Shin to accept the proposal, which made Yaxi furious. Liu Cheng mentioned how Lin Shin had made 999 cranes for her, which she used to throw away. She imagined how hurt he was and presented him with the 1,000th paper crane, made by her. Her favorability was 86%. Lin Shin was determined to not get fooled by Liu Cheng again. He was angry how she had lied to completely fall in love, whereas she was just at 86%. He knew that Liu Cheng was there only because no one was there for her. He had learnt all her tactics and how she was controlling so many liquors. She was only chasing Lin Shin because she was not reconciled. When Lin Shin left Liu Cheng with her paper crane, Luo Yaxi bursted out in laughter. Suddenly, the teacher entered the room and asked everyone to go back to their seats. Liu Cheng and Lup Yaxi shared a hateful glance indicating the upcoming rivalry. After the class was over, everyone was moving out. Lin Shin was seen with both the girls, hugging in his arms. Luo Yaxi was insisting on going to a rented house so that he could relax without disturbance. Liu Cheng stated that since Lin Shin was not even her boyfriend, taking him to sleep in her house was not right. Yaxi mentioned how she had an unusual relationship with Lin Shin, and it was why she wanted to take him home. Since Lin Shin was single and had no girlfriend, it was not wrong for her. She called Chung to be Lin Shin's ex-girlfriend and asked her to leave Lin Shin to her. She promised to take good care of him. Chang called Yaxi a fool and said that Lin Shin and she had just a little fight. She mentioned how Lin Shin even helped her some times ago. Yaxi considered it to be just his justice nature and compared it with helping street animals. She told a Chinese saying, telling how good horses did not turn their backs. She called her not too good for doing that to Lin Shin. Chung also didn't step back and compared Yaxi to a rabbit from a famous saying, which goes like rabbits do not eat grass beside their nest. The two were catfighting in the middle of the school campus, which attracted a lot of attention. Lin Shin was not happy in that situation as he didn't want to be famous in school. Suddenly, a red Ferrari rushed towards him. It was Cao Cao, who came at a high speed, took Lin Shin with him and left. He was relaxing on her thigh, wondering about something. She was behind the wheels and asked if she had hurt Lin Shin during the pickup. He wanted to get up, but she insisted on resting down on her lap for some more time. Lin Shin thanked her for saving him from the catfight and appreciated her right timing. She was happy and asked if it was worth his payoff. Lin Shin agreed, and she then asked him to always help her. Liu Cheng was angry when Cao Cao took Shin away. She wondered who that woman was. Just like her, the other students were also discussing that news. They couldn't clearly see her face, but considered to be someone very rich. Some students commented that the sports car was a Ferrari LF. They wondered how Lin Shin managed to get a high-class woman from being a dog licker previously. Liu Cheng was unable to bear another woman on her way. She assumed that girls will try to grab Lin Shin once they would come to know about his wealth. Luo Yaxi was calm in that situation though. She said that Chung used to ignore his love, but now she was not able to afford him. She asked if Chung regretted it even though she didn't have any chance left. Liu Cheng asked Yaxi not to be so happy either. She mentioned how that lady picked Lin Shin up, which seemed to be a wealthy daughter. She said that if Lin Shin wanted another love, he would probably look for that lady instead of Yaxi. Yaxi said that it would not happen and asked to not compare any low-class women with her. She bragged how her relationship with Lin Shin had already progressed. Chung became restless after hearing that and asked what kind of progress Yaxi meant. She asked what kind of nasty method Yaxi had used. She demanded to know how deep the progress was and started reacting violently. Luo Yaxi gracefully refused to tell any more details to Chung. When she left, Chung tried to consider Yaxi to be lying. Suddenly she remembered how simple Lin Shin was, but couldn't guarantee how long it would last under such a siege. She understood that she couldn't afford to move slowly and started planning. Since she was ex-girlfriend of Lin Shin, she knew exactly what he likes and dislikes. She had decided to use those to get him back. Her favorability increased 4%, and with that it crossed 90%. The first stage of Counterattack was completed, and 10% of money spent on Liu Cheng was refunded to his personal wealth. He wondered what the situation was at university, as he had noticed the update. He was rewarded by +1 levels for all the attributes. His strength, agility, physique, and intelligence reached level 3. The feeling was really awesome for him. He was asked to choose one from the 3 skills: B-level long-distance running mastery, B-level swimming mastery, and D-level skill dancing machine proficiency. That time, the level was so low compared to the previous time. Lin Shin wondered if it was related to the amount of counterattack. He could feel how his physical fitness had become stronger with level upgrades. To choose the skill, he considered no need for long-distance running. He then decided to choose swimming. A large amount of swimming-related knowledge instantly started pouring into his brain. He could also feel that the muscles of the chest, back, and the arms had been strengthened. Someone was watching Cao Cao and Lin Shin with a pair of binoculars. It was a man in a formal suit who was standing in a glass room. A lady who looked like his assistant called him as chairman and informed that everyone was ready for the meeting. The chairman commented that it was a good scene to watch, and the protagonists were Lin Shin, Luo Yaxi, and Liu Cheng. But suddenly, a charming princess appeared in the scene to rescue the hero. The other people, sitting on the table, were also excited and felt bad for not getting a chance to witness that. The chairman seemed to be angry with Lin Shin. He headed the meeting and stated how their university was always known for its excellent learning and good atmosphere. He mentioned how a male student with 2 female students were causing ruckus with their chaotic relationship. He was also aware of the lady, who raced at high speed in the campus. The chairman yelled at a person, called Joe, and asked if those students were from his department. Joe agreed and mentioned that the male student was Lin Shin. The chairman said that the previous chairman used to compliment Joe, from the speaking and literature department, to be serious and responsible in his work. He said that he was also expecting high from Joe. Joe was flattered with that appreciation, bowed down in front of the chairman and thanked him. He also promised to punish Lin Shin for that behavior, but the chairman had different plans. He said that their student council serves all students in the school. He wanted Lin Shin to repent his misdeeds and promise to not repeat it in future. Joe also agreed and decided to do that instead. In the next afternoon, we could see the school swimming pool, where many students were swimming. Lin Shin was there with a cleaning mop and a friend. The friend said that their student council was too much. It seemed like the council had given Lin Shin a warning and punishment to clean the swimming pool for a semester. Lin Shin accepted his punishment as he considered that it was wrong for his friend to be speeding on the campus. Again, he said that it was not a bad punishment either, referring to the girls in bikinis. So many girls from the swimming department were practicing there, which was a heavenly scene for any boy. In the pool, a very attractive girl with pink hair was swimming. Another girl referred to her as Xiaoyu and complimented her figure. Xiaoyu asked the other girl to stop touching her. The girl then whispered into Xiaoyu's ear about a boy, Yang. He had been chasing the beautiful girl for a long time, but Xiaoyu had no interest. The other girl was surprised and asked about her expectations from a boy. Xiaoyu mentioned that she wants someone faster than her in swimming. The girl yelled if it was even possible. She mentioned that Xiaoyu was a first-class national swimmer who had participated in provincial competitions. She doubted if anyone from their school would meet her requirements and asked if she was actually not interested in boyfriends. The girl noticed Lin Shin, who was busy cleaning the floor. She showed Xiaoyu and mentioned how Lin Shin was trending among the male students. She also told her about many girls chasing him. Xiaoyu was not interested in those and left that place. She was swimming like a fish goddess in the water. Suddenly, her feet started cramping unusually. She was shocked as she even had stretched her body before entering the pool. Within a moment, she started drowning in the water. Few girls were watching her, but they thought it was some driving technique Xiaoyu was practicing. They were complimenting the art of death without knowing. Xiaoyu was trying to ask for help but couldn't due to the heavy water pressure. Fortunately, Lin Shin noticed that she was in danger. Without wasting a moment, he jumped into the water to save her. Yang was just yelling without doing any significant help. Lin Shin swam towards Xiaoyu and held her around the waist. She was nervous and started screaming and yelling. She asked him to not touch her. Probably she just wanted to drown. Lin Shin tried to comfort her by advising to take deep breaths. He asked her not to move and promised to take her out from the pool. When he started swimming, Xiaoyu was amused to see how fast he was swimming and even supported her with one hand. It was also embarrassing for her, as she had never been so close to any boy before. Lin Shin had taken her out and she started breathing heavily in the bank. Lin Shin asked her to be careful next time. He was wiping his face with his shirt, and his handsome body was exposed to the students. The girls were busy with Xiaoyu, asking if she was okay. They were scared to death after witnessing that incident. Lin Shin started to go out from the pool. Everyone was appreciating how fast he was moving like a cannonball. Someone also recorded and shared the video on the internet. People and their obsession with social media had no limit at all. Xiaoyu asked her friend if that boy was Lin Shin. The girl said yes and made a compliment about how he had saved Xiaoyu's life. She also mentioned how Lin Shin was super fast at swimming and perfectly matched the criteria Xiaoyu had for boys. Xiaoyu was standing there, facing the floor. Her friend noticed how she was blushing and started yelling at her. Yang, on the other hand, was not so happy to see that redness and screamed. Someone had posted a picture of Lin Shin saving the beautiful girl on the campus board. Students started discussing that incident online and praised Lin Shin for his bravery, handsome look, and swimming technique. One even counted his speed and commented that Lin Shin had broken the national record. The chairman of the school council noticed the online discussion. He was disappointed and started grinding his teeth in anger towards Lin Shin. With an evil smile, he promised himself to screw Lin Shin. A few days later, the school dance party was organized. It was hosted by the student council and very popular among the students. The hall was full with people and food tables. It was heard that a mysterious grand prize was announced, and the council had spent a lot of money that time. Everyone was dressed up and invited a partner. Many students wanted to invite Luo Yaxi, but recently she had fallen in love with Lin Shin. Someone mentioned how Liu Cheng was also in the same line. The students noticed the two beauties together. Liu Cheng was wearing a black dress which was complementing her curves. Luo Yaxi was looking gorgeous in a gentle white dress. The two were rivals in love but seemed so close. Someone commented it was how female friendships worked. Luo Yaxi looked at Cheng and praised the look. She also didn't forget to mention how her efforts wouldn't become fruitful because she was sure that Lin Shin would not choose Cheng to dance. Cheng touched her tongue in a provocative way and thanked Liu Yaxi for the concern. She was looking really evil and cruel though. She asked Yaxi to enjoy the moment and claimed that everything would be changed after the night. Yaxi didn't know what Cheng was going to do. She tried not to pay attention to it and went to prepare something for Lin Shin. She was determined to go with Lin Shin for the dance. Cheng, on the other hand, was smart enough to understand what Yaxi was thinking. She knew Yaxi was always sweet and gentle, but she assumed it was not enough to hold a man and knew how men were instinctive animals. Before that, she wanted to deal with the other obstacles she had on her way. Xiaoyu was also there, searching for Lin Shin. She was wishing to thank him for saving her life. She wondered if she asked him for contact information. Would he get the wrong idea about her? She was drinking some soft drinks but was terrified to remember how she would have drowned if Lin Shin was not there. Cheng was standing behind her with a cruel look. She thought that Xiaoyu was trying to climb up the ladder after being saved by Lin Shin. That lady without character thought that everyone was like her, chasing men just for money. Cheng called Xiaoyu, but she didn't know her. Cheng introduced herself as Lin Shin's girlfriend in an aggressive posture. She asked if Xiaoyu had not heard her name before. The pink-haired swimming beauty was terrified with that look and was just looking at Cheng. Luo Cheng said that her boyfriend Lin Shin was kind enough to save her. She also mentioned how Lin Shin used to chase her for 3 years before she reluctantly said yes. She then paused and told how much they were in love at that moment. Probably she forgot to mention how Lin Shin didn't even care about that cheater anymore. Cheng said that Xiaoyu need not thank Lin Shin as he would be busy dancing with her. She almost warned that innocent-looking girl with cruel eyes. Xiaoyu was so scared that she almost ran away from her, telling that she had got her point. After her evil plan got successful, Liu Cheng posed like a demon queen. Her favorability also increased by 1% and reached 91%. Lin Shin was sitting in a chair, in the comfort of his room. He was shocked to see the increase of favorability. He wondered how it rose again while he had not done anything. One of his roommates, who was dressed up in formals, asked why he was not ready for the party. Lin Shin mentioned how he had nothing to get prepared for as his duty was to pick up the trash. He mentioned how the student council always assigned their class to do those works, and even the new president had assigned him the same. Before Lin Shin could complete his sentence, his roommate asked if Lin Shin had provoked someone. Lin Shin had no idea and asked him to explain. The boy told him about Wei Zhengtang, who was always using position to target people he didn't like. He had a record of punishing Zheng Hao. Lin Shin found that funny and decided to meet the president. A message also came to his phone, informing how the president announced to give Lin Shin an award for saving a girl. The messenger asked Lin Shin to come quickly to the party, as everyone was waiting for him. Lin Shin agreed to visit the party and texted okay to the sender. He got ready in formal suits quickly. He assumed the award ceremony to be a trap set up by the president. Lin Shin believed in not offending people until they didn't offend him. He was ready to play with Wei Jung-tang that night. Lin Shin was going to the party. The road was dark and lonely. A boy was hiding and waiting for Lin Shin with a concrete block in his hand. He was angry that he couldn't save his love interest Xiao Yu and missed the opportunity to get fame. That boy was Yang, and he considered Lin Shin to be responsible for that. Lin Shin had popped out of nowhere and taken away fame and Xiao Yu. Yang had planned to break Shin's legs after knocking him out. Yang was about to hit Lin Shin for stealing his women, but without any hint, Lin Shin resisted the attack. He then hit Yang's face right, so hard. Shin remembered and asked if he was a classmate of the girl he had saved. He asked why he was doing a sneak attack on him. Yang replied that Shin had stolen his love and fame and asked how he dared to slap him. Shin had no idea what Yang was talking about. It made him more furious, and he even cursed Xiao Yu. He mentioned how he was chasing her for so long and she had never looked him in the eye. He was angry that even though Shin didn't know her name, she was blushing at him. He said Xiao Yu pretended to be innocent and expressed his eagerness to forcefully claim her body. Those words were enough to boil any good human's blood. Lin Shin smashed that foul-mouthed boy's face with his shoes and threw him into the garbage. Lin Shin said that he belonged there and left like a hero. When our protagonist reached the school dance party, everyone looked at him. Yaxi was so happy to see her love and approached him. Lin Shin apologized for being late and inquired about the good show. Yaxi didn't know about it but mentioned how she was waiting to dance with him. He agreed to dance and pulled her towards him. They started dancing together and Yaxi praised his skill. Lin Shin felt that it was happening due to the enhanced attributes. Everyone was watching the couple dancing together, romantically. A girl in a pink dress approached Lin Shin and asked him to dance with her. Yaxi apologized and asked her to wait a bit, as she was not finished yet. The girl didn't listen and suggested Yaxi to take some rest. I can't believe how some girl could behave so desperately. Not only that girl, but some other girls also started asking Lin Shin to dance. The guys were so jealous, watching that. They were wondering how a famous dog licker had become the center of attraction for those girls. A guy yelled how the president had also planned to give Lin Shin a reward. Was kind enough to do it. The president suddenly arrived and requested the students not to talk like that. He mentioned that Lin Shin had saved someone's life. He then moved towards Lin Shin and said that the school needed more students like him. He introduced himself as president of the council and expressed his willingness to toast with him as an honor. He offered Lin Shin a drink, which was quite doubtful for Shin. He took it, stared at the can, and was clueless. Since he was taking a long time, someone asked if he was going to give up on the president's toast. Someone also commented that Lin Shin was mannerless. Lin Shin said that there was no reason to reject that opportunity and drank the can at once. Yaxi asked if he was okay, and someone commented how cool Lin Shin is. The guys were still jealous and said that he had pretended to be forceful. The president didn't express anything, but surely he had something on his mind. He said that he had things to discuss with Lin Shin about the student council. Wei Jung-tang suggested going somewhere and Lin Shin agreed. They headed towards the meeting room and Lin Shin was shocked after entering there. He noticed the girl from the pool sleeping on the couch. He wondered what was wrong with her and why she was red. He went towards her and felt like she was having a fever. Jung-tang was standing there without any expression or words. Suddenly, Lin Shin started feeling dizzy and did not understand why. He fell into the girl's body unknowingly. There was a secret camera fitted on the wall. Jung-tang said that it would be perfect footage to completely destroy Lin Shin. He was smiling creepily and took out a key. He said that Lin Shin would be done that time. In the dancing hall, everyone was standing in front of a big screen. They were waiting for the award show to begin. President Jung-tang went on the stage and asked everyone to be patient. He said that Lin Shin would be there soon. He was waiting for some medicine to work, which the elephant also couldn't bear. He announced that Lin Shin would say something on the screen and asked everyone to watch it. Everyone was eagerly waiting, but started screaming. In the scene, a naked man was lying over a pink-haired girl. The students asked the president to look back at the screen. Wei Cheng-tang pretended to be shocked and yelled at Lin Shin. He asked why Lin Shin couldn't wait and started doing that on a live broadcast. The audience was screaming and discussing the incident. The guys started cursing Lin Shin as they hated him from the beginning. One claimed to know that Lin Shin was not a good person. He also mentioned how Qin Shin was always a poor child. Someone commented that Lin Shin was taking advantage by saving people. They blamed Shin for corrupting morals. They also mentioned how Shin was flirting with several girls and demanded to kick out Lin Shin from the university. All those students formed a group to demand it. President Jung-tang was still acting like he was very disappointed by Lin Shin. Everyone was protesting and yelling to kick out Lin Shin. Zheng Tang was smiling like an evil man and was enjoying his victory. He considered it as a power to crush little people and started laughing like a villain. Lin Shin appeared in front of him out of nowhere and asked if he had missed something interesting. Zheng Tang was terrified to hear that and started panicking. Lin Shin mentioned he had gone to the toilet and asked who the person was. Everyone wanted to kick out. President Wei Zheng Tang was so scared to see Lin Shin on the stage. The video was still going live on the screen. Lin Shin asked why the president was behaving like he had seen a ghost. The students were also confused and wondered what was happening. The president asked why Lin Shin was there and inquired who that person on the screen was. His voice was shaking and face was pale in fear. Lin Shin asked how he would know and mentioned that the program was set up by the president. The students yelled that the face of the person was getting visible. On the screen, everyone noticed a boy hugging a plastic model. It was not Lin Shin, but some other boy. The boy was licking that model, thinking it was Jinoyu. He was saying that he would not let her go. The students wondered who that person was, and someone recognized it to be Yang Li. He mentioned that Yang was chasing Xiaoyu for a long time. They didn't understand why he was there in the room. 10 minutes before the incident, something miraculous had happened. The system has detected a love potion on Lin Shin's body. The physical passive skill level 3 detoxification was activated by the system, and the potion was removed. When Lin Shin came back to reality, he noticed the locked door, a girl and cameras. He understood what was planned and broke the door with his ability. Xiaoyu was heavily drugged, and it was not possible to wake her up immediately. Lin Shin had placed her into the girl's bathroom quietly, so that Zheng Tang and his lackeys could not find her. Per Sharats, Lin Shin then went to pick up Yang from the garbage. He considered putting him as an actor for the stage made up by the president. He placed Yang on the sofa as if it was him. Since he knew how Zheng Tang had planned well, he didn't want to ruin the show. He arranged a plastic model and wigs from the dressing room to replace Xiaoyu. After setting that all, he went to watch the show. The screen was playing the live stream of Yang trying to make out with the plastic model. Lin Shin put a hand on Zheng Tang's shoulder and commented that Yang might have some mental health issues. Lin Shin had not removed his clothes, and probably Yang himself did it. Since it was not his problem, Lin Shin ignored it. Zheng Tang was out of control seeing his plan failing. He yelled that it could not be true as he had seen Lin Shin falling on Xiaoyu. Lin Shin asked what he meant, but Zheng Tang put a hand on his mouth. He realized that he had slipped accidentally. Everyone looked at him and wondered what was going on. Shin forcefully asked Zheng Tang to explain how he had seen that. Lin Shin started repeating his question with a louder voice, and Zheng Tang started panicking. Suddenly, an old man entered the room in a furious experience. He yelled at everyone and asked what was going on. That man was Teacher Sun, from the literature department. He was the oldest and strict teacher of their university. The teacher angrily mentioned that Lin Shin was not from the student council. He asked how he dared to interrogate the president of the council. He considered it to be unreasonable and took Zheng Tang's side. Lin Shin wasn't afraid and asked how Zheng Tang was going to get away from the claim to see Lin Shin falling on Xiaoyu. The teacher was not ready to listen to anything Lin Shin explained. He mentioned how Zheng Tang had worked hard, dedicated himself, and even hosted award ceremonies. He accused Lin Shin to be an idiot who had not done the program and didn't perform in the convention hall. He said that Lin Shin had embarrassed the president and ruined the image of their university. He proposed disciplinary action towards him to restore the university's pride. The students were clueless and idiots who followed the words of that teacher. A student who hates Lin Shin again started creating an opinion against Lin Shin. He said he didn't want to accept only a disciplinary action against Lin Shin for making a big mistake. He suggested expelling Lin Shin from the university. The other monkeys believed in his saying and started demanding that. They were yelling to kick Lin Shin out. Only Yaxi was on Lin Shin's side and asked the students what had happened to them. She tried to tell everyone that the president was hiding something. Zheng Tang was smiling and enjoying the defeat of Lin Shin. He said that the teacher was his lackey, and the students in the hall, as well as the student council, everyone was in his favor. He asked how Lin Shin would compete with him. Even though Lin Shin was standing steadily, Zheng Tang claimed that Lin Shin was trying to escape. He asked the students to discipline him, and 2 students jumped in to hold Lin Shin. When they held his one hand and waist, Zheng Tang went near. He asked Shin to fight back and said how he wanted to kick Lin Shin. Before Zheng Tang was able to punch, Lin Shin smashed his face with the open hand and asked what was the rush. Lin Shin then told him that the main event was about to begin. The teacher could not see his favorite student in pain and asked the security guards to beat Lin Shin. The guards rushed to hold Lin Shin, but someone asked them to stop. Everyone looked towards the voice and found out the director. He was standing with Leon and one other elite-looking guy. The teacher asked what the director was doing there. Lin Shin also freed Zheng Tang and he fell on the ground. The director said that if he was late, things would have gotten out of hand. The teacher tried to explain how Lin Shin had made a big mess and announced his decision to expel him. He also mentioned Lin Shin as a negative influence, who need detention. The director could not digest more lies and hit the teacher with his stick. He said that the real negative influence was teachers like him, who took bribes and tarnished the reputation of their university. The teacher's cheek was red like a tomato after getting what he deserved. Wei Zhengtang stood up and again tried to blame Lin Shin and said that teacher Sun was there to help Zhengtang. The director ignored his bluffing and took Lin Shin in front of the students. He announced that bribery of teacher Sun from Wei had seriously damaged their reputation and decided to expel both of them. He also stated that it was good to have outstanding students like Lin Shin. The director decided to pull the roots of the weed out of the university to clean their pride. The teacher Sun and Zhengtang were panicking about their dark future. The students were shocked to realize that President Zhengtang and the teacher Sun were the real villains. They wondered how they were scammed and what was happening there. Lin Shin played the CCTV footage of Zhengtang setting up the trap. A footage from 40 minutes before showed how Zhengtang placed Xiaoyu on the couch in an intoxicated period. Someone commented that Xiaoyu was stupid to drink that drink, which was drugged. Zhengtang thought that Lin Shin would never find out the mastermind behind it. He also considered that the other students and the council look up to him, as if they were lower in status. The students watching the screen felt disgusted to know Zhengtang's reality. They questioned how he had dared to lie to everyone and started cursing. The guy, who was with Leon and the director, mentioned how he was also framed previously, but had no proof of it. He had to keep quiet like it was not happening. He said that he always suspected Zhengtang for it. The students were so angry and started throwing things at the president. They warned to peel his skin, which he rightfully deserved. The students now demanded to kick out Zhengtang for his unforgivable deeds. Someone asked to call the police, and some even threatened to beat him badly. Wei Zhengtang started panicking and didn't understand how things turned out against him. He realized that his career was screwed and still considered it to be the fault of Lin Shin. He had a knife and rushed towards Shim to kill. Lin Shin, powered by the system, had become so fast already. He resisted that attack by holding the knife and pushed Zhengtang in the middle of the crowd. He asked the president to get some beating and smiled. Zhengtang was lying on the floor and the students were around him. The students started beating him to take revenge for the bullying and trapping people. Zhengtang was crying for help, but no one listened to him. He was left alone after a lot of torture. Some sensible student mentioned how he had drugged an innocent girl and suggested sending Zhengtang to jail. The crowd also demanded that they no longer would accept him as their president. They approached the director and said that they would need a new president as soon as possible. The director pointed towards Lin Shin and mentioned how he had handled the matter bravely. He recommended Lin Shin as president and asked if the students were okay with it. The students were more supportive and considered it an amazing step. They asked Lin Shin to go for it. Lin Shin thanked the principal for this opportunity and put his hands over the shoulder of the two young men. One was Leon and the other one was Jeg Hao, who was also framed by Zhengtang. Lin Shin told everyone how Zheng realized about the conspiracy and called the director, together with Mr. Feng Billion. He mentioned how the consequences would be unpredictable without them. Lin Shin then requested the director to give Zheng the position of president. He told everyone how Zheng was already leading the department organization in the council before Zhengtang's conspiracy. He praised Zheng Hao for being a hardworking and talented guy. Lin Shin said that Zheng would be better for the post as he considered himself not so hardworking. They considered it cool and started yelling at the administration. A guy who was previously screaming to kick Shin out warned everyone to beat if they said anything against Lin Shin. Yaxi was happy and emotional after watching the great heart of her love interest. Students were praising Lin Shin more and more. Liu Cheng was also looking at him from afar. She was happy to see her man's awesome personality. Shen then announced to restart the party, but Lin Shin left to see if Xiaoyu had woken up. When he reached there, the girl was still sleeping in the toilet. He called Xiaoyu to wake her up and wondered how many drugs they had given to her. Suddenly he smelled something odd, and before he could realize anything, he fell on Xiaoyu. It was Liu Cheng, standing behind. She pulled him from Xiaoyu towards her and sat on him. She even tore her skirt as it was giving her difficulty. She was blushing and said that Shin was only her. She hugged him tightly and felt loved. She then tried to wake Xiaoyu up to make her watch how Lin Shin was her. Liu Cheng probably forgot that she had senselessed Lin Shin to get close. She said that she would not be able to live without Lin Shin and moved to kiss him. She was trying to make out, but somehow he took the charge. Even though he was senseless, he did his duty well, and she wondered if it was animal instinct. We can see love booming in that toilet. When Lin Shin came to sense, she noticed Liu Cheng lying on the floor. He didn't understand what was going on there at first. He noticed the drug near Liu Cheng and figured out the situation. He started panicking and couldn't believe what that crazy woman did. His physical ability to eliminate the poisons were cooling down, and Cheng got advantage of that. Suddenly his phone rang and it was some captain. The man on the other side inquired Lin Shin about Feng. He mentioned how he was bragging about helping Lin Shin in the group and said it seemed like Yenobai was also involved. Shin just asked the man to call him buddy and check the group messages. Leon had posted a selfie with Lin Shin, bragging how he had taken a step further with Mr. Qian. Yobo also posted a single picture and said how she also had become closer to him. The man then asked if Lin Shin remembered about his private yacht nutrition feast party. He informed Lin Shin that the party would be held the next day at River Tamking. He also mentioned a very special program that was arranged and asked if Mr. Chen would love to join. Lin Shin said that he was in a bad mood and agreed to go on a boat ride. The man was happy and welcomed Mr. Chen to the party. Lin Shin, Zheng, Tang, and Ji went outside to enjoy beers, escaping the boring dance party. Zheng told everyone that it was a party from his side, on the occasion of being the president. He asked everyone to drink as much as they wanted. Lin Shin mentioned that he had been repeating those lines hundreds of times already. Zheng was going to pee on the toilet and asked if someone wanted to join. Ji and Tang joined that pee party, but Lin Shin waited outside. Due to his enhanced physical attributes, he didn't get drunk, even after drinking a lot. Suddenly he heard someone asking to let go of her. It was a lady, asking 4 men to stay away from her. One creep was ordering her to get close and let him touch her. Lin Shin noticed that from behind. The men were praising her body and style. She said that they were allowed to see her, but not allowed to touch her. One man said he could not control and pulled her towards him. She was mentioning how she was not that type of person and called it a crime. The old-looking man was a pervert who didn't know the meaning of consent. He said that she was responsible for creating the need in them and asked her to satisfy it. The lady was begging to let her go. Lin Shin couldn't see that anymore. So he went there and asked why they were forcing it. The men were shocked at first but looked angrily at him. They asked how he dared to ruin their excitement. The old man asked Lin Shin to go and mentioned how it was not some kind of a show. Lin Shin resisted and stayed there. The men were furious to get a hard reply and decided to beat Lin Shin. They had no idea of the ability Lin Shin had. Even though the lady tried to stop it, Lin Shin started beating the 4 men alone. Within a moment or two, he beat them one by one. Everyone fell to the ground, and the lady tried to wake the old man up. She asked angrily if Lin Shin had any idea how dangerous it was. The system recognized her to be a high-level woman and started the counterattack. Her name was Shen Aodong, 25 years old, with height 172 centimeters and weight 50 kilos. Lin Shin looked at her, wondered how the mission was started, and thought that she looked innocent. He considered it unfortunate, as she was a hooker. He advised her to find a good job instead of those jobs, to live freely. He left the place after that. Sean couldn't understand what he had mentioned. She was wondering from where he popped up and single-handedly defeated all those men. She was sad that her plan was ruined. A man was still asking for help, so Shan smashed his face with her high heel. She called someone called Roger and introduced her as team leader. She informed them that the suspect had been dealt with and she was ready to bring them back. She also asked the 4 teams to return back to headquarters. It seemed like she was on some mission. On the next day, Lin Shin went to the boat with the captain. After getting him on the ship, the captain left to discuss some business on another ship. When Lin Shin entered, he noticed a lot of men making up with some bikini girls. He was pleased with the place and the girls. Shen was also there, wearing a cat dress. Someone was on call with her secretly. The person asked if she was able to get close to the target. She informed them that she had been looking for the target and asked them to be ready to act any time. Her mission was perfect without loopholes, but Lin Shin had ruined it the previous. She wished no disturbance this time, but suddenly Lin Shin appeared. He asked if she was the girl from last night and appreciated her new job as a waitress. He was actually there to chase some free drinks. Shen was shocked and asked what Lin Shin was doing there. She wished Lin Shin not to ruin her mission again. A man called waitress Shen and Aodonga to go near him. The man was old, had 2 guards, and 2 ladies were busy pleasing him. He was wearing only a short and heavy gold necklace. Shen asked if the man needed some champagne. One escort of that man asked if she was new, and if she didn't know what type of service he had demanded. She mentioned that the old man wanted to play with her. She called the man, Jin, mentioned his wealth and power, and said that he would treat her well. Some other 2 men also supported this. The man stated that he wanted to play with something fresh and threw a lot of money on Shen's face. He asked her to come over and take that money. He was making some creepy gestures to call her. Shen thought about her business but couldn't even complete it. Lin Shin came in between and stated that they don't provide those kinds of special services there. He also called Jin to be a rat tail juice and mentioned how it was illegal. The man got angry and asked how a waiter had dared to come there to teach him a lesson. Lin Shin tried to explain how he was invited by the owner to enjoy. The escort said that Lin Shin looked like a waiter and claimed Shin to be lying about the invitation. She mentioned how they had never seen him at parties before. She asked if he was playing some drama like the hero saving the beauty. She also demanded to see his invitation letter. Lin Shin said that he had no letter as he was invited directly by the captain. He asked them to confirm it by asking him after arrival. Lin Shin was busy eating some fruits Shen had served. A bald man said that a ticket to enter that ship costs 100,000 per person. He asked Lin Shin not to joke about someone inviting him there. They thought Lin Shin had sneaked and someone asked to kick him out. The man said that he didn't care who Lin Shin was and demanded that he kneel down and apologize. He warned Lin Shin to break his private parts before throwing him into the sea. Jin also asked the waitress to kneel down, but for a different purpose. They asked Shen not to pretend like she was innocent after getting on that ship. The guard moved toward them in order to force the apology. They wanted to teach Lin Shin and Shen the rules of the rich man's game. Everyone surrounded the two, and she tried to hide herself behind Lin Shin. Shen calculated that she would lose a lot if she closed the trap she had set for the target, who was not seen in the party till then. She knew Lin Shin had skill to fight, but afraid that he would not be able to beat so many people alone. Lin Shin was not worrying a bit and asked the people if they said that anything could be bought with money. He then suggests calling the boss of the ship. The old man was shocked and kept watching what Lin Shin was doing. Lin Shin dialed the number, but the line was busy at that moment. He thought that the captain was unable to receive the call because he was in a meeting. The other people on the ship didn't understand the situation. They laughed how they were almost convinced by him for 3 seconds. They accused him of pretending to call the boss. The escort sitting on the old creep's thigh asked Lin Shin to buy the whole ship to prove his richness. She promised to kneel down to him if he could do that. The man also said that if Lin Shin bought the ship, the waitress would be Lin Shin's, and he would let Lin Shin hook that night. He asked if Lin Shin was really able to buy that ship. Lin Shin agreed to do that and asked a waitress to bring their captain. Jin also asked the waitress to do it. Since the main captain was not there, he mentioned how other captains would be able to buy and sell the ship. He remembered the name of the assistant captain to be Xiao Zhang. He asked to bring him there, hoping to insult Lin Shin. The captain arrived and referred to the old creep as President Kim. Kim said that Lin Shin was interested in buying the ship and asked to make a deal with him. The captain laughed and asked if Kim was joking. He mentioned that the ship was so expensive that even Kim could not afford it. He called Kim poor actually. He asked how a young guy like Lin Shin could afford that ship. Lin Shin asked the captain to stop his nonsense and ordered to tell him the price. He took out his golden card, which was shocking for everyone. Their jaws dropped in the air and eyes became wide open. They wondered if it was a black card from Dragon Bank, but noticed a little difference. They asked if it was an advanced version, but a lady considered it fake. Shen was feared and asked Lin Shin to stop embarrassing himself. She decided to give up on her mission, as she didn't want Lin Shin to get in trouble for her. Lin Shin asked her not to worry and was ready to start his show. The girl looked at him and her favorability increased by 5%. The captain then prepared some documents and showed it to Lin Shin. He mentioned that the original price of the ship was 700 million and added a 100 million as urgent processing fee. The total was 800 million, and all formalities were described in the digital document. He asked Lin Shin to sign on it and pay the amount. One person promised to swim back home if Lin Shin bought the ship. Someone asked Mr. Kim to stop messing with Lin Shin and suggested playing with the waitress. Lin Shin was looking at the document for so long, so the captain asked him to do it quickly. He also ordered Lin Shin to get off the boat immediately if he could not afford it. Lin Shin handed the paper back and said that he was not going to sign it. The people started laughing and said they already knew that Lin Shin would not be able to buy that. He asked Lin Shin to stop the drama. Lin Shin, on the other hand, took Miss Shen in front of others. He announced that the lady would sign the documents. The people could not believe it and screamed. Lin Shin only agreed to swipe the card and wished to give that boat to her. She softly asked what her name was, and she told me that it was Shen Aodong. He announced the ship to be a gift to Shen, and it shocked her as well. He swiped the card instantly, and a transaction of 800 million was successful. The people on the boat started panicking and slipping their drinks. They could not believe that Lin Shin had bought the boat in full payment and wondered who he was. They agreed that Lin Shin had terrifying financial resources and was definitely invited by the boss. The captain announced Shen to be the boss and bowed down in respect. He expressed his willingness to maintain all the 100 crew members and serve her. The waitresses and escorts also swapped their sides and greeted Shen. Lin Shin asked Mr. Kim if the waitresses would also belong to him. The man had to agree because he said that earlier. The escorts also stated that they would also belong to him. A girl wanted to know Shin's surname and praised his look and money. The bald man, who was previously laughing at Lin Shin, tried to get close to him. He cursed the old creep for offending Lin Shin and switched his team. The money was enough to transform those rich men into lickers. A girl was even offering to tie shoelaces for him. Shen was watching the scene with eyes wide open. She wondered who the man was. Kim moved out of the room and visited a very tall and strong guy. He described how he had lost temper and tried to provoke him against Lin Shin. He referred to that man as Boss Han, asked for help, and promised to give all his business to him. The man considered it a great deal and agreed to deal with that matter. He was looking like a demon when he suggested biting the main artery of Lin Shin. Han came out of the room and went to meet Lin Shin. He praised Shin for bravery and introduced himself. He mentioned his name was asked the same to Shin. The lady Shen was shocked to see Mr. Han there. Shin said that his name was Lin. Shen recognized Han Biao. who was the leader of the Black Tiger Gang. He specialized in smuggling contrabands from Myanmar and Laos. He was also running 2 underground casinos. In recent months, Shen's department had taken down his business, and he was the target of her operation. Hao said that the atmosphere was good and suggested playing 2 games with Lin Shin. Lin Shin rejected the idea, mentioning how it was not legal either. The man tried to provoke Lin Shin by asking if the 800 million was his last money left. A lady was standing there with him who pretended to be on Lin Shin's side and mentioned how Lin Shin was the big sponsor of that Toyota. She asked not to say such things about Lin Shin. Lin Shin claimed to have money, but Han called him a loser for not willing to gamble it. He was looking terrifying and clearly trying his hardest to make Lin Shin gamble. Kim then arrived at the scene and asked Han to forget about it. He mentioned how some people can't afford to lose money and teased that they would not be able to sleep if they lost even 200 yens, and proposed to play by himself. Shen had understood the trick and asked Lin Shin to not listen to them. She explained that Hao Biao would only make money at the gambling table. She said that even if he had 2 billion, it would not be enough to lose. Rather than getting panicked, Lin Shin was relieved to hear about 2 billion. His eyes sparkled in joy. Lin Shin called boss Han and said that he had realized how interesting that game is. He agreed to play with him. Shen could not believe it, but Kim and Han were happier. Lin Shin mentioned that he was quite unlucky recently and couldn't draw the cards. He requested Shen to play for him. He asked her not to worry about losses, as he had lots of money. He offered to pay all the winning prices to her. Shen didn't want that and asked if he was crazy. She said that he would lose badly. Lin was happy inside, as he had other plans to get benefits. If Shen lost 2 billion yuan, he would get 200 million in cash. He considered it more profitable than spending on female anchors. He was actually bored, tapping the screen repeatedly. He wished to lose all his counterattack money, so that he didn't have to do anything and live peacefully. They sat on the table, and Han suggested playing simple blackjack since Lin Shin didn't know how to play baccarat. It sounded good to Lin Shin too. Shen was wondering about the situation. He remembered how he had bought her a ship as a gift and calculated that she was not in a position to reject his request. The people were shocked and wondered how a waitress would be able to beat Han in gambling. Shen also had no choice but to play for Lin Shin in order to hide her identity. The people knew that Lin Shin had enough money to make Kim cry, but also knew how all the money in the gambling table would go to Han's pocket. They considered Lin to be a rich and dumb kid. The dealer was the lady, who previously asked Han not to badmouth Lin Shin. She asked them to deal with the cards. Han wished Lin Shin good luck and asked if he would need more chips. Lin Shin didn't care and asked Han for anything he wanted. He was ready to gamble, and Shen was watching him with confusion. In the first round, boss Han won the game, but Shin had no regret. Han suggested playing more, and Lin Shin betted 200 millions in the next game. He also inquired why the denomination of the chips were so small and asked to exchange it for 2 billion. The attendant agreed happily, but Shen tried to stop him. The people were shocked to see Lin Shin playing with such big amounts. They commented how Lin Shin had no limits. Han also praised the bravery of Lin Shin for it. He was secretly provoking Lin Shin to make him excited and imagined how his smuggling business would get recovered with 2 billions. In the next game also, Han won the 200 millions. Lin Shin kept increasing the bet up to 1 billion, but every time boss Han won. Handel still asked if Lin was interested to continue the game, and Lin Shin excitedly agreed. It infuriated Shen, and she grabbed him outside the room. The people commented how the waitress was so proactive and asked if they were going to do sex instead. Shen pushed Lin Shin into a wall and put her hands beside him, keeping him in arrest. She asked if he lost his mind and was wasting money like that. Shen was angry and yelled at him. She asked if he was hoping to win the previously lost money by doubling money in every round. Her favorability increased by 3% at that moment. She asked him to stop it and mentioned how it was not a game of luck. This is the first time he had been walled off by a beautiful woman at such a big age. Lin Shin was blushing and enjoying the moment. He asked her not to be excited and said that he wouldn't blame her if they lost. He was trying to persuade her gently so that she was not scared. He understood how Shen had no idea why he was wishing to lose. Shen was embarrassed and set Lin Shin free. She said that she was not excited, but telling him that gambling was not luck. She was afraid that she was almost exposed because of her emotions. Lin Shin asked if it was impossible to win, and Han Biao was changing the cards. He mentioned movies where one can get the desired card face by rubbing it. He wondered if he should report it, as he heard about bonuses for reporting crimes. Shen was tired and asked him not to get fooled by movies and their tricks of low grade. She mentioned how sensors were placed under the gamble table. She started explaining the whole trick to Lin Shin. Even before the cards come out of the dealer, the sensors know the number and order of the cards, and the dealer knows exactly who will be dealt the cards before the hog even starts. Then the dealer gives a signal through the Bluetooth headset, and Han Biao knows whether to double up or surrender. The The sensors had the ability to detect stealing, changing, and bringing fake cards. She further mentioned how both the chip card and the induction loop were complementary to each other, and the function was designed to prevent players from cheating. The only thing that went wrong was the tips given to Han by the dealer, which was impossible to catch. Lin Shin understood why gambling was really harmful after listening to that. He said that it was easy when one knew the working method and suggested playing more. He promised to teach Shen a lesson about gambling. Shen was confused but agreed to go back to the table. Lin Shin then announced to check the gambling table, mentioning his doubts about something wrong. Han looked at him and had no problem in the test. He just said that it would break Lin Shin's heart. The people wondered if Lin Shin lost all his money and mentioned how he was looking anxious. They assumed that apart from the ship, Lin had nothing left. The bald man was relieved that he had not done any business with Lin Shin. The dealer lady also suggested checking her anywhere if he had any doubts. Lin Shin proposed to check it later, but at that moment was only focused on checking the table. He touched the table with his hands, activated level 3 strength, and said there was no problem in the table. He pretended to be clueless and upset. Lin Shin then suggested playing one more round and mentioned how the game was getting boring with time. Lin Shin called Boss Hao stingy because he only dared to put out only tens of millions each time, even after winning many rounds. He asked if Han was scared to lose money, and it made Han uncomfortable. The people also started gossiping about it, which was more frustrating for Han. They considered Han to be penny pinching compared to Lin, who was spending millions of money. Han decided to play big that time and betted 1 billion that time and asked to deal the cards. It was a very shocking and heart-stopping moment. The dealer started the game and Han was waiting for his tip. Lin Shin asked to start Han quickly and mentioned how he was eagerly waiting to make a comeback. The dealer was panicking and informed Boss Han that the sensors were not working. It made Han furious, but he assumed that Lin Shin would not be lucky and started. To his misfortune, he lost the game and Lin Shin won all the money. The people could not believe that Lin Shin had actually won the match. Lin Shin had recovered all the money he had lost and Boss Han didn't get anything. It made that terrific person angry and he slammed the table. He asked how Lin Shin dared to win. Lin Shin asked how it was okay when Han was winning and got mad after losing only one match. He commented how it seemed like Han could not afford to lose. Han accused Shen of cheating and claimed that no one could fool him. He said Shen was a master, hired by Lin Shin. Everyone was shocked and stated how cheating was not a small matter. A man said that it was not right to cheat and violate game rules, even if it was their ship. A girl was telling some nonsense proverb also. Shen was furious and yelled that they had not cheated. She demanded people to check the monitor instead. Boss Han didn't pay attention and took out a sharp knife on the table. He then pointed a gun towards Lin Shin and mentioned the rule of gambling. He said one had to cut off a finger and confiscate all the gambling money. If Lin Shin didn't agree, Han warned to shoot him right at the spot. Han had put the gun in Lin Shin's head in aggression. Lin Shin was still being calm and insisted on witnessing which was fast, a bullet or his hand. He was holding a chip and saying the words sarcastically. Shen was panicking and asked Lin Shin not to provoke the wounded beast, Han. She feared that Han might actually kill him. Suddenly something happened so fast that no one understood anything. They noticed that Han had fallen on the ground, bleeding blood. Shen was the only one to witness the whole thing. She noticed how Lin Shin threw the chip from his right hand to the gun and changed the trajectory of the bullet. Meanwhile, he also punched Boss Han in his stomach with his left hand, 3 times a row. The speed was so fast that nobody was able to see what had happened. Mr. Kim was shocked and asked the security to arrest Lin Shin. He claimed that Shin had cheated and hurted people, but the security grabbed that creep instead and he started yelling. Lin Shin went to him and asked if he had forgotten that Lin Shin was the financial owner of the ship. He asked who the security would listen to and mentioned how Boss Han was the one who cheated. He kicked Han again and 2 cards fell from him. Everyone was shocked to see how Han was cheating. Shen was sure that Han would not go for some low-level tricks and asked Lin Shin how did he won. He whispered in her ears that he had broken the sensors when checking the table. He mentioned how the game was played and won on pure luck. Lin Shin also told her that he had slipped those cards on Han's hand while beating him. She was relieved, blushing, and praised his bad skills. Her favorability increased by 15% that time. Suddenly, the original captain entered the ship and asked what was going on there. Everyone looked back to him. The bald man narrated the scenes. He said that Han and Lin were playing, and Han got mad after losing and tried to fire a bullet. The boss became furious, ran towards Lin and started checking if he was okay. He kept asking if Lin Shin was okay and not hurt. The people heard that Lin Shin was being referred to as Mr. Qian. They couldn't believe it and started screaming. Shen, on the other hand, informed her teammates about the incident and asked a few people to come there to take him. The boss of the ship introduced Lin Shin to everyone and mentioned how he had invited him to play that night. Suddenly the cops arrived and asked everyone not to move. They mentioned that they were there to arrest the smuggling gang and requested everyone to cooperate. Han Biao and his gang members were arrested. The leader approached Shen and informed her that their team could be withdrawn. The people heard and were shocked to know that the waitress was actually a police officer. Shen was looking for Lin Shin to thank him as he had helped them to catch Han. She also wanted to return the money to him. Lin Shin, on the other hand, was escaping the scene in a boat. He took advantage of the confusion and slipped out through the window. He thought he was getting finished if got caught by the police. In the girl dormitory, Luo Yaxi was lying on bed, watching her phone. She was wondering where Lin Shin was and why he was not replying to her message. She was planning to ask Lin Shin for dinner at her rental house, but was even embarrassed to directly ask him out. It was because she was interrupted by an accident and considered finding another chance. While she was busy planning, Liu Chung entered the room. She sat down and mentioned how tired she was. She was showing off her skirt, which was torn. Yaxi asked what was wrong with her and commented on how Chung was looking. She advised to protect herself sarcastically. Liu Chung rested her hand on her waist and mentioned it to be the fault of Lin Shin. He said even though he was gentle and honest, he behaved rudely that day. She also bragged how she was feeling happier than ever. Luo Yaxi didn't believe her and said that Lin Shin was not rude. He asked if she had torn the dress herself. Chung moved her skirt a little and showed a big mark on her thigh. She asked how she could do it, when in reality she could not even open a bottle cap. She asked Yaxi to see that by herself. Yaxi noticed the palm print on her skin, and a tear came out of her eyes. The palm print was so big, and she thought that Chung had not made it by herself. She couldn't believe it and started shivering. Luoqing noticed that and asked why she was behaving like that. She advised Yaxi to wear some clothes so that she didn't catch a cold. Yaxi could not bear Chung and ran outside in a rush. It felt very good to Chung. She wondered if Yaxi would still want to devote herself to Chung and considered it too late. She commented that a man will always belong to his first woman. She was imagining the time and was acting horny. She remembered how he had hit her at the end and wondered when he would do it again. Outside the boys' dormitory, Luo Yaxi was waiting for Lin Shin. She was concerned why Shin was not responding to her messages and calls and wondered if he was already sleeping. She was also concerned about what Liu Cheng had claimed because she didn't seem to be lying. She calculated that if she was being truthful, Liu Yaxi might hurry up. A rich and handsome guy like Lin Shin didn't have girlfriends, and it was an alarm that attracted many women. She imagined how many girls might be trying to get a touch of Lin Shin. Yaxi didn't want to let him taken by anyone. The guys started noticing her and wondered what a girl was doing there. Then we were staring at her short clothes and wondered if she was having it with her boyfriend. They were watching him like she was something like a delicious item to eat. The night passed. A fresh morning was greeting everyone. Lin Shin was walking, eating some snacks. He was exhausted after fighting and gambling with those people the previous night. He was moving towards his dorm to sleep first. When he reached there, Luo Yaxi was standing there, sliding on a wall. He noticed her from behind and wondered why she was there. Some guys were also discussing her. They mentioned how she was there from the previous night. When Yaxi saw Lin Shin, she rushed towards him and threw herself on his chest. She was so desperate to meet Lin Shin and glad that he was finally back. Lin Shin got a bit emotional to see her admiration and asked if she was waiting for him the whole night. Liu Yaxi said that she knew how busy Lin Shin was and mentioned that's why she was waiting there. She wanted Lin Shin to understand how far she was from him. She praised Lin Shin for being so good and rested her head on his chest. She mentioned how there were many girls who might be chasing Shin as well. She expressed her willingness to be the most sensible one among them. Suddenly, she started feeling dizzy, and Lin Shin somehow grabbed her before falling. He asked if she was okay and held her in his hands. He proposed to take her back to the rental house. When they reached there, he gently shifted her to the bed. Luo Yaxi thanked him for taking her back, and Shin asked if she was not asleep. She said that Lin Shin was so kind to her and held his hand. She managed to grab his chest romantically and said he might be tired. She offered to let him relieve his tiredness by massaging. Lin Shin was happy to see how she was ready to massage him after waiting for him all night. She considered her to be a really extraordinary girl. He didn't want to miss the opportunity and asked if she knew how to do massage. Luo Yaxi asked him to leave it all to her. She made him lay on his stomach and sat on his legs. She started massaging him gently, here and there. It felt too good, and Yaxi said that she had more ways to make him comfortable. She started massaging Lin Shin with her feet. It was so relaxing for Lin Shin, and he was enjoying those golden moments. He mentioned how that rental house was far away from school and promised to buy her a house near the school in 2 days. Luo Yaxi was so happy to hear and kissed him on his head. She mentioned how much she loved him, and her favorability increased 4% again to reach 95%. She promised to massage him every day and lied on his back. Lin Shin was also happy about it. After a few moments, Lin Shin fell asleep. Yaxi then took her phone out and informed Chung about the house Lin Shin promised to buy for her. Yaxi asked what she should do, and also mentioned about the expensive bag he had bought a few days ago. She asked Chung if she should accept those gifts. Clearly she was trying to make Chung jealous, and actually successful. Chung bursted in anger to learn about it. She couldn't believe how Lin Shin was spending money on Yaxi and considered Yaxi to be worthless. Even though she was not happy, she messaged Yaxi to accept those gifts. She didn't forget to mention how Lin Shin spending little money on dogs and beggars was not something Chung cared about. The two were messaging continuously. Yaxi mentioned how Lin Shin was spending money on her and teased Cheng by asking if he didn't spend money on Cheng. Cheng was offended, but pretended like money was not important in front of the bond she had with Lin Shin. She said that Yaxi would not understand their feelings. It was ironically coming from Cheng, who used to cheat Lin Shin for money. Yaxi was determined to send a selfie with Lin Shin together when he would buy her a house, and asked Chung to continue to be a trash. In the afternoon, Lin Shin woke up. It was refreshing to have a good sleep after getting massaged. He unlocked his phone to see who had sent messages. Suddenly, a rain of messages started on his phone. Yaxi messaged him yesterday, asking about his whereabouts. He also noticed Chung's message, with a photo of her. She mentioned how it was still hurting but felt good. She also had asked him to have a meal. There were also new messages on his phone. Smiling Yambo had informed him about finding a professional team and wanted to meet him. Xia Yuxuan also had messaged him, informing how she had sorted out the museum. Xiao Chao also messaged him telling how she wanted to see him before leaving. Lin Hin was amazed and wondered why he had not read messages for a day. He also remembered how girls used to ignore him previously and didn't reply. Everything had changed after getting rich, and he was happy to have so many girls to spend money on. The only problem was dealing with them all at once. Another message was from the president, who informed Lin Shin about the arrival of the car he had ordered. He asked when he should deliver the car. Lin Shin had completely forgotten about the car and didn't even have enough money to buy it for him. He just messaged that man not to send it and proposed to pick it up by himself. He was free in the afternoon and decided to go and watch the car personally. Lin Shin went to the Yangjiang Auto Show conference to pick up his car. He was passing by some luxurious car in a clueless look. Some working ladies were welcoming the potential customers. Lin Shin was amazed to see that car show. He also thought about how Mr. Che showed his car as an advertisement. There were so many Cars X that Lin Shin didn't even know the names. It was his first time visiting something like that. Some girls were doing photo shoots in those cars. He also noticed some foreigners in the show. A lady informed someone about the arrival of boss Steven. It was an old man, accompanied by two youngsters. The male was Shu Kyun and the female was Che Mengyun. Mengyun was busy on her phone, but Kyun kept asking her about drinks and food. She told him that she was neither thirsty nor hungry. Some ladies were updating Steven about the sale numbers.